then I've started recording, then go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Who would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Who would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Amy, how about you?
Oh, I feel like I'm in school.
Yes.
All right. Do this for
All right,
Girl
let me,
Scouts. All right. Ready, guys?
Let me get the
The flag
up.
there.
Right, guys. I
Okay.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of
of
America.
America
And
And
to
to
the
the
republic
republic for which it stands,
stands
one
nation
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
for all.
and a lot of reverb.
Okay.
There. Okay. Did Mark let us know if he was going to be running? Oh, there's Mark. I don't like to do the approval of minutes without you getting a chance to look at them because I know you always notice things.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Here I am.
Okay. Would you like to look at the minutes, and does anybody have any suggestions or edits, or should we go straight to an approval?
I have no changes.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I'm okay with them.
Okay.
There is something in there what I said, and it's okay.
Yeah, well, it's something that you sent to be read, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
I
I
make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Amy? Okay, roll call. Rosemary Allison.
All in favor?
I'll do the roll call. Rosemary
Oh.
Allison, sorry.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Amy Elliott,
Aye.
Mark Burley,
All right,
Kevin Cannon,
Aye.
Michael Adams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Now let's go through the agenda review.
I have one thing. For Mr. Stafford, I refer to him as the director, but he's actually the general manager. So I apologize, but I wanted to make that distinction.
Okay. So let's go to public safety reports. Jeremy, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me tonight. Since our last meeting on March 18th, it appears we only had one collision. It was a minor injury collision involving a pedestrian in the construction zone. And other than that, as far as collisions, the area has been doing pretty well. Traffic wise, we just see no significant issues in the area other than the normal speed that travels through the area. So we'll continue to have officers enforce that area. At the end of this month, we do have a maximum enforcement period for Memorial Day weekend, where 80% of our officers will be out and about patrolling Ventura County. So we're hopefully going to make sure that they get to our county pockets, including your area. And as well, we have a click it or ticket campaign that starts this next Monday. So we'll be looking out for seatbelt violations. So please encourage anybody that you know, family members, maybe some of the younger drivers, that wearing a seatbelt is a positive and saves lives. Seen it over and over again where collisions happen, and those that are not wearing a seatbelt usually sustain major, if not fatal, injuries in some cases. So that's all I have for tonight. Does anybody have any traffic related issues to bring forward to me?
I just want to say thanks because I live right by Hill Canyon and Santa Rosa Road. And I see a lot of patrol cars or SUVs right there at the corner.
That would be me.
Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I travel through the area on a regular basis, and like I've said on previous meetings, or one of the first ones I went to, that I'm prepared to take any kind of enforcement action if necessary if I see something. So the positive is I'm through the area every morning and every afternoon, and I'm ready to go if need be.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
curious about the pedestrian in the construction. Was that on Santa Rosa Road itself?
Yes, we got a report that it was on Santa Rosa Road.
Okay.
So
I
in
just
fact,
want to add how much we appreciate our law enforcement who protect and serve us so well. Thank you.
Amen.
yeah, we're happy to do what we do. That's why we are in the highway patrol and sheriff's department, is we enjoy serving the public. So thank you very much for saying that. We appreciate it.
Who would I talk to about possibly setting up another meeting for a neighborhood watch group?
It would probably be me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
If I could get some contact info, I would love it.
Okay, I can do
Okay.
that.
All right.
As far as I'm sorry, as far as the criminal side of it, I don't really have a whole lot to add from the last meeting. The one good news that I do have is the individual that was involved in all the mail theft in Santa Rosa is in custody now. So you guys can rest easy as far as that goes. I also wanted to reiterate the encouragement for people that want to get a hold of us for whatever reason to use our non-emergency number if it's not a non-emergency. I don't know how many of you have access to that number, if you know what the number is. You still get the same dispatch center, so the response time is still going to be the same. It's not going to be curtailed at all. That number, in case anybody is interested, is area code 805-654-9511. And the only difference between calling that number or calling 911 on your cell phone is typically if you call 911 on your cell phone, it's going to go to the CHP dispatchers first, and then they make the determination on if it's a CHP matter or a sheriff matter. And if it involves our agency, then they'll transfer you over to the appropriate dispatch center. So it just cuts out that middleman if you need to get a hold of us. But by all means, if it's an emergency, just call 911 and we'll get there as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you so much.
I just heard about the text to 911 today, I think. Is that in effect already?
It is in effect. So, that's in case you're in a position where you can't speak, but you still need assistance. You can call, you can text that 911 and we can figure out where you're at.
In the report I heard about that, they recommended that if you can possibly do it by voice, it's better for the response from 911. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, we always prefer voice. One of the things that we want to try to determine is the type of information and how critical the incident is as it's unfolding. And sometimes that's difficult to portray over text because there's no emotion involved, or text can be misconstrued. There's a lot of possible confusion when it comes to texting with each other, as we all personally know. Things can be taken out of context and things like that. But ultimately, if that's the only way you have to do it, then certainly utilize that.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
Okay.
well, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
you guys can now go on to the rest of your regular evenings. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a
All
good
right.
night.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, now comments of Supervisor Parks, who I understand cannot join us this evening.
Right, so that you have me. Couple things. So the board approved some grant funds for transportation. Just within that, Supervisor Parks wanted to make sure that she requested for transportation to look into safety for the rumble strips for cyclists. So that would be also for the ones that are slated to be installed on Santa Rosa Road. So she just wants to make sure that they look into that safety aspect for cyclists. And we all know we have a lot of cyclists that go through Santa Rosa. Wedding venues, just to follow up from planning. If the property is yours and you're having a wedding for yourself, planning will not get involved. They don't regulate temporary outdoor events with fewer than 75 attendees in OS, AE, and RA zones, or with lots with 5 acres or smaller. So if the number of attendees increases to 100 for properties of 250 acres or more, they do have regulations. I have the ordinance. So if you just let me know, either text, email me, or you can put it in the chat. I'll email you the actual ordinance so you can have it if you want to look into it in more detail.
Are you telling me that somebody can lease out their property and get income from it for under 75 attendees?
Well, no, that's if the property is yours. So if they're leasing it out, I think I would have to double check with planning. It seems to me that would be different. But
Well,
they're
no, I'm
saying-
saying they're getting paid like $5,000 to, can I get paid $5,000 to host a wedding at my house for less than 75 people?
He said that they do not get involved with any outdoor events fewer than 75 people. But
Include the caterers and things?
that I don't know. What I can do is get you involved, get you in touch with Winston, and if you have follow-up questions, then he can.
I'm just
answer that.
concerned about a lot of little venues that are going to pop up all over the place.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, I can get you in touch with Winston and you can ask these questions. I think it might be easier than kind of going through me, and then you can get those
I
direct
would
answers from.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. The airport master plan workshop. Oh, Mark,
Mark.
you can
Rosemary, just for your knowledge, there is a place in Lexington Hills that's got a lot of party lights outside, and we have seen a number of weddings there over the last 3 months. So it may be that they're renting out their place, but I have no idea how many participants are there.
Are they loud music at night?
They tone it down at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
I'm just concerned that it seems like things have changed about venues. And I'm just concerned that all of a sudden we're going to see a whole bunch of people doing, to make extra money, allowing their homes to be utilized for this purpose, which is a commercial purpose in my mind, not a residential one.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. The airport master plan workshop, they just had a workshop May 13th. That video is up on their website. I'll put the website here in the chat shortly. You guys you can see the workshop. There will be more workshops coming up, and I'll send out information for those workshops as they come up. And that's for the airport master plan. Transportation updates, Rumble Dots, Rumble Strip Center. I believe that was Michael Adams had asked about that. I did follow up. There are box dots in place on top of the stripped median and double yellow center lines. So transportation said those are routinely inspected and any missing dots are replaced. So they're in that center line where you can't cross. They're not complete. In fact, I even went through there. They are there in the center line.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
sorry. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Santa Rosa signal upgrade. So they are now put a request for proposals was postponed because of the county's successful grant to install systemic signalized intersection improvements. So which includes upgrading the traffic controllers, installing advanced dilemma zone detection, and enhanced signal timing, among other safety features. So those signalized improvements should happen the year 23-24. So it's got some time, but they did get that successful grant. So that's good. Other signalized upgrades that are needed that are not going to be funded by the grant, they're still looking for other grants for those. So they haven't been identified yet. So and then lastly, but they are moving forward with some signal maintenance and repair on Santa Rosa Road. Last week, they replaced all 8 battery backup systems and conflict monitor units. And then next week, O&M will begin to relocate and install those radar feedback signs.
Denise,
Yes, sir.
I did read from your email that relocating the one that's there,
Mhm.
it says the existing signal pole near Branchard will remain in place without the speed feedback sign, but will continue to have a 55-mile-an-hour posted speed limit sign.
Mhm.
There's not one there now, so it won't be. That's kind of
It's not there currently,
correct.
so that might be what their O&M is doing when they're relocating the other one.
Well, I'm saying they're going to relocate the speed thing, but they're going to install a new speed limit sign.
Mhm.
At this point, we have no speed limit sign along Santa Rosa Road, and I think Mark would testify to me that we kind of like it that way.
Oh, you do not want a 55.
No, just take the dynamic one away and leave the pole alone, or maybe they need a reason for the pole to be there. That's why they want to put a. But that'll be the first time we have a posted speed limit in the middle of Santa Rosa Road like that.
Oh, okay.
And it would only be in one direction, I assume, instead of both directions.
And it would say 55, which we really don't want.
Yeah.
Oh, 65.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'll convey that to transportation. Okay,
Okay.
God.
all right.
And why don't people want a speed limit sign? I'm not understanding that.
Because we want people to think that since the lights are synchronized to 45 miles an hour, that that's the speed they should travel. We are not thrilled about the thought of having a freeway in front of our neighborhoods.
Okay.
The thought being if it's posted 55, then they go, oh, I can probably push it to 65. Right now, the only mileage they see if they pay attention to the yellow sign is 45 during synchronization.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I see people going 55, that's pretty much the standard speed already. What I see.
I will convey that to Mr. Fleisch. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have. Thank you.
Okay, now we have Ventura County Fire Chief Mark Lorenzen.
Hey, members of the MAC, I will start with just sharing some news before I get into my report. Well, let me introduce myself first of all. I'm Mark Lorenzen. I've been with the Ventura County Fire Department for 30 years. The last 9 as fire chief. Today was actually kind of an exciting day for us, and I'll see if I can actually share it in form a picture. We for the last 4 years, we've been working very hard on updating our aviation fleet. So I don't know if you guys can see those.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, we had a press conference today to announce placing in service 2 Firehawk helicopters. So those right now, and what's really interesting, we have a joint aviation program with the sheriff. It's virtually unheard of that you see law enforcement and fire working so closely together, and we cross-staff these units. But up until now, we've been operating Vietnam-era Super Hueys that drop 360 gallons. Now we have these new, more modern ships that will drop 1,000 gallons of water. They can snorkel it right out of any lake or reservoir or even portable tank. They fly faster. We're really looking forward to it being just a great asset to the county of Ventura. As you all know that live out there in that rural area, it's going to be great. It's close to your neighborhoods, and hopefully we can keep all of our fires small. So look for those flying over probably for the next 2 weeks. The pilots are going to be practicing on them before they actually start using them as water droppers, but very exciting news for us. With that, I am here tonight because of an email that's a completely legitimate question that was sent from one of your residents who lives on Jennifer Place. And his question really was one asking for information. And I believe Venice has provided you all with a map with a bunch of little dots on it and a lot of numbers. And my hope is to answer questions related to it. I'll kind of give you an explanation of what you're looking at. And then we can go from there. Yeah.
Mark, I can share that if you want.
You can share it on the screen?
Yeah. I can zoom in and zoom out as you need to.
Sure. Oh, great.
So,
Yeah, depending on the size of your screens, it's going to be hard to
yeah,
see in there. But the request was really for some response time information into the Santa Rosa Valley. And that's what the map displays, is 3 years worth of responses into your neighborhoods. And I will say, just for the sake of understanding, back in the old days when I first started in 1991, everybody had kind of a fixed sector that you responded into, and but based on the station would respond to an area because that was theirs. But we don't do it that way anymore. Now with technology, we dispatch first responders into the area based on who's closest. It's a dynamic response system, which is great. So yeah, assuming your fire engines are in the fire station, that will always be the one into your neighborhood. But if one of the fire engines happens to be either on another call or out and about and in the neighborhood and possibly closer, that will be the engine that is ultimately responded to your emergency. So for the Santa Rosa Valley, your first responders are Station 52, that's down the road from you. Station 34 on the corner of Avenida de los Arboles and Moore Park Road. They come down the Norwegian grade, and then Station 40 over by Moore Park High School. So, and it really depends on who's either busy or who's closer as to whether they come into the area. What the little data table has there is it breaks down all the calls over the 3 years. In total, over that 3-year period, there was 519 calls. So about 173 calls per year on average into your area. Probably about 60% of those are medical calls. Usually we're upwards, I think on average about 72% of our overall calls countywide are medical calls. So you must have a very healthy community there. Beyond that, the table breaks down where the responders were coming from on those calls. And we have set metrics for the county as far as our response times goals. And what we do is we set urban or I should say suburban and rural response times. Our suburban response time metrics are 8.5 minutes, 90% of the time is our goal. And in our rural areas, it's 12 minutes, 90% of the time. So that will, this table also shows the general compliance with that. And you can see in general, it takes a while for our resources to get, we don't hit our metrics in your area by any stretch. But that's basically what the information shows. Venice and I met a few weeks ago, and really the ask was that I come and share the information with your group, and that you guys can ask questions or ask for some additional information should you be interested. With that, I will open it either to Venice for comments or to the MAC board for some questions.
one of the things that the MAC had mentioned from their last meeting was also whether or not there was any need for a fire station in the community. That's
right. Yeah, and I will address that. We had unlimited funds. I suppose we probably could, for us, it's always a combination of, risk and frequency and finances. So you will find as you go into urban departments like FDNY in Manhattan has 5-minute response time metrics that they actually are able to meet. But that's because of the density. So as we move out into our more rural areas, we've created some metrics, and these have all been approved by the Board of Supervisors that just recognize that we are a really interesting, diverse community that has areas that are suburban and rural, and that our response times into those rural areas are going to be longer than our response times into our more densely populated areas. And just for information, for us to staff a fire station out there, the salary costs are about $2.5 million per year, plus the cost of constructing a station. So we weigh all those things into where our stations are located, and when we consider adding a new station.
One reason why you should consider adding it is you already own land there for it.
Right next to the school.
Correct. Perfect location.
I know. Well, it really would be a good location. The one problem with that parcel is there's an easement for a very large, I believe it's water line that goes right through the front of it. So I don't know that we're even allowed to construct in that spot. But regardless, if we wanted to construct a fire station out there, I'm sure we could find a parcel that would be suitable.
Good question.
Question, go ahead, Amy. Go ahead, Amy.
So, I was just curious how when the Hill Canyon fire happened, I was driving home from Santa Monica. I live on Santa Rosa Road, and I was coming down through off the Norwegian grade. So is there any way, like, how does that work? Because is there a way when let's just say there's a fire there again? Long story short, it took me 3.5 hours to even get home.
Right.
And that was like 5 miles. So my question is, when things like that happen, is there anything that can be done to only allow the residents in and out, or is that just not possible to hand or mandate?
That is possible. It'd be great if our CHP partners were on, because they probably would be able to answer that better than myself.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes what happens when we set up evacuation zones, there are times when they will only allow residents in. If there's mandatory evacuations, they won't even allow you in. But if they're voluntary evacuations, sometimes they'll set up, a roadblock and some kind of perimeter control and only allow residents in.
Yeah. Okay, I'll bring that up. It's just because we're such a thoroughfare for people that don't live here. It just makes a huge backup.
Yes.
Chief Lorenzen, can you just reiterate for everyone, comp and non-compliant is how compliant you are with the response time, and that's 8 minutes, did you say?
So for those areas where it is, I'm looking right here at my thing, non-rural count. So that's our suburban areas. That's 8.5 minutes.
Okay.
And for the rural count, that's 12 minutes.
Okay, 12. Okay.
What would be probably helpful, I mean, as I look at this, it really it doesn't tell the full story. We know we don't hit that. If we're 8 minutes and 35 seconds, we're non-compliant, even though we're really close. So it might be interesting to get some data and statistics, so some averages or means, and maybe also where exactly are we at the 90th percentile? I mean, as you move along the scale, we should be able to tell you exactly at the 90th percentile in the suburban areas, we're at 9 minutes and 8 seconds or something like that. So we can determine how far off we are. So that's one thing, just for my own curiosity, I will get, and then I'll come back and share it with you.
I have a question. So what you're saying is that Santa Rosa Valley, all responses, we have a 88% non-compliant. That would be at the 12-minute mark, right? Not at the 8-minute mark.
If you are, it depends on when you're looking at the top. Yeah, the total amount.
The top left, which seems to be the sort of compilation of everything.
Yes.
Implication is.
You're reading that correctly.
Okay.
So in the suburban areas, we're 88% non-compliant. In the rural areas, we're 64% non-compliant with those metrics.
Do we have a I don't understand what non-rural means with respect to Santa Rosa.
It is, it's interesting. It's based on population density from the US Census. So there's areas in your neighborhoods, that are down below.
So this is not the same as county, what the county calls rural.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, these are our definitions of rural, and I don't remember the exact definition. It has to do with a certain number, population-wise, per square mile.
Yeah.
And so we use our GIS mapping to determine what areas of our county are rural and suburban. We don't have
Yeah.
any urban areas that are that dense, so we just classify it into those two.
I think Amy's in the suburban area. Aren't you, Amy? Aren't you a suburb wife?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have a question, Mark.
May I,
so-
I'm sorry, can I continue just with another?
Okay.
question? As you say, obviously the percentage of non-compliance is far greater than the compliant responses. How do we compare with other areas that are similar rural areas in the county, such as like Somis or maybe Oak Park? Do you have that information?
I don't
So-
think Oak Park is rural.
Well, but it's probably not rural, but it's outside, it's outside a city. And the definitions of rural seem, and city and rural seem to be different between the county and the fire department.
Right. So I don't have that information. That's a great question. And we do have, pockets in the county that are in a similar situation.
I think,
It really depends, Upper Ojai is a good example. Well, it's probably not a good example compared to you.
so
Is-
here's, thank you, sir, Mr. Fortney, for pointing this out. It's such a big map. The shading shows urban, rural, non-rural right here. So you can know where the community is here by kind of going.
Okay, by shading.
Yeah,
All right, I see it now.
yeah. It's
Okay,
hard
wait.
because
So what's the green?
the green is rural. If I'm,
Right.
Okay, so,
I mean,
all
just
right.
double check.
So our neighborhoods are,
Or so if you look here, there's rural at the corner, the bottom left corner,
so
rural.
I can't tell the colors that well. Are we urban or not rural?
We're a mix. If you can go to the Santa Rosa Valley
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah,
now that you've pointed this out, I would never have noticed this if you had not pointed it out, and I agree with you, Rosemary. Now you can see that there's different colors in different areas.
Right.
So like Hidden Meadows is rural, and then other areas of it are
Like, all the green is rural.
non-rural as
oh, I see.
under this definition.
So that's weird. So the interior houses of my neighborhood are different?
Correct, looks like.
That is just the inner circle versus the outer circle.
Yeah.
There's 3 circles because there's
Yeah.
this
Well,
one,
no,
this
we're,
color.
Yeah, and I don't have a good answer. So it's not an exact science here when we are trying to delineate these, because in some cases it doesn't make sense because you're on one side of the street, it's suburban, and the other side it's rural, and you guys have our neighbors, in
well,
some cases.
it does make a little bit of sense to me because across the street, my house shows as the yellower portion. Across the street backs to the wildlife area.
Yeah.
So would
it's
that
just-
make that sense?
It's just based on large parcels versus denser, smaller parcels.
Yeah.
So I'm on
No, not
Priscilla.
really.
Priscilla's got,
In my neighborhood, those parcels across the street from me are the same size. They're backing to natural wildlife.
but they should be in the suburban color, all of your houses. Because they're only 1 acre or something. Anywho, I had a question about, back to the idea of the fire station. I understand its cost and all, but similar to intersections, I know transportation, they determine this warranty. If a signal is warranted based on the traffic going through that intersection, we found out our intersections weren't at that level of warranty. I'm just wondering if the county supervisors had put on any kind of limits that if your response times dip below a certain non-compliance, that, or at some level, it warrants a fire station because your response times are so far from meeting their hope.
Right.
That's my question.
So the answer is no, the board has not said that. That's a great question that we don't have a specific trigger for that. But that's a completely valid question for that area. What would it be in order to trigger that? And I will say, we don't, when it comes to placing a fire station, I mean, we look at a variety of those things. It's not necessarily whether or not, there's a return to source, so to speak, of property taxes and stuff. If there's a need, even if there's not a property tax base to support it there, we'll place one there. But that's a great question that I will circle back with my staff on, and it'll be a good internal question for us to have. What would it take in order for us to make that determination that a fire station is warranted there?
Well, does it also maybe trigger that you need to add more staff at a particular station that's already there, or more engines?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, when we're looking for your community there, we're looking at those response times in there, right? So adding staff to one of our stations isn't necessarily going to help that. In fact, we have plans on putting we're rebuilding Station 34 over there on our Bolus. We're placing it a little closer to CLU, and we're actually going to put a day engine in there. It's an engine that helps us deal with our peak volume times. So there will be additional staffing that will be available to respond into your neighborhood, during the busiest time of the day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that will be happening as soon as that station is constructed. That's still probably 2 years out. So, but that may occasionally improve your response times because 34 is a busy station, and that means that second engine may be available more often to come in when they weren't. But I think it'd be only a marginal improvement. But probably the best way to obviously serve your community and decrease response times is to put something somewhere in your area.
Well, we agree with that statement.
Yeah. I have one more follow-up on weed abatement. I did get my notice, as I do every year, and I read it carefully on the backside of the requirements. I'm very interested in this one that says, bullet point, all dead palm fronds on palm trees forming a skirt of brown thatch shall be removed. Applies to palm trees within 100 feet of structure and 10 feet from a road or driveway. So along Santa Rosa Road, we have a new number of really dead palm trees that are actually sticking. They're all dead with the fronds from top to bottom. They've been lopped off and sticking into the power lines. And I went out and measured them before the meeting. And my question is that 10 feet from the edge of the pavement or 10 feet from the fog line?
I don't know exactly on that. Yeah, the interesting thing that we found, sorry, I live next to a train station if you hear that. For those of you that are familiar with Santa Barbara, I live right next door to the train station.
Oh, wow.
That's a neat place to live.
It's great. It's in the area called the Funk Zone.
Oh, yeah.
If you like peace and quiet, you don't want to live here. So anyway, back to the interesting thing with the palm fronds. We found in the Thomas and Woolsey fire that probably our single biggest culprit for spreading fire embers was palm trees, and especially palm trees that were not kept up. That area around them, it's called the boot, where they lop them off and they don't clean it to the bark, creates just an amazing ember environment. So that's why there's that new thing on there this year related to palm trees, is we found that those are absolutely terrible as far as fire spread goes. I don't know. My guess is, in answer to your question, and it's just an educated guess, is that it's from the edge of the paved roadway.
Well, that's awesome, because I measured, two of them that were closest. One was 8 foot and the other was 7 foot from the edge of the roadway. I mean, yeah. So we've asked before the fire department to look at those. They've been on this parcel for years and years. A previous MAC councilman was really adamant about wanting to get rid of them. I assume the fire department went and looked, and I assume they didn't cite the property owner to remove them because they're still there, deader than ever. But maybe this year he's going to get an ask to remove them. You know the guy, Amy, right? You know that development that it's right at Blanchard.
Yep.
That- So warning, maybe you can call him and tell him, maybe this is the year to remove those things.
Well, what I would like to get, actually, I wasn't aware of this new palm thing. Is there any way we can get a printout of this statement? I don't think I received it, but I want to be able to send that out on social media, because I do believe I had gone down to help with horse rescue in San Diego during that horrible fire. And I was so shocked. Those palm trees were bombs blowing off. I mean, I could not believe the explosions.
No, it's not done consistently, because I have a neighbor on a private driveway. He's got a whole slew of them. They have dead material up at the top, and some years they're asked to remove it and other years they're not. And Rosemary, it's on the back side of your notice of removal.
You know, I don't know that if my husband just threw it away. I don't have that. Can you email me
Okay.
that?
Sure.
Unfortunately, because I think it'd be really important for us all to spread that on social media, because I think the more people that know about it, we'll be able to tell their neighbors.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Don't say you threw it away with the fire captain here.
We take care of our lot, so I'm sure that he figured we don't need this and he threw it away.
Hey.
So,
Just a reminder.
okay. Well,
Just before we finish, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the Ventura County Fire Department for looking after us in very many occasions over the last years, and we all appreciate that your guys put themselves in danger every day for us. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
know we have a few of us have been lucky enough to know Ed Spafford, who works for you, who's
Yeah.
always been wonderful in protecting us all. And we so appreciate you as well as your entire department.
Well, thank you.
And I just end by saying it would be great if we could get an assessment of how Santa Rosa Valley is doing compared to the rest of the county in terms of the urban, rural, and non-rural response times, just so that we know how good or bad we have it.
Sure. That's a reasonable request.
Thank you.
I
Thank
have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, the first one is, I know that in some areas, if a emergency vehicle is going down the road, it will actually trigger the stoplight to be green for that emergency vehicle. Do we have such a system in place here?
I don't believe on your stoplights. We are in the more densely populated areas putting in traffic interruption systems that are GPS activated, so they sense it. It used to be there was a strobe light that would activate it in the past. Now it actually knows your route and changes the lights. So we are slowly but surely going through and working with the cities to install those, especially in traffic corridors that get really disrupted by traffic. But yes, not with your lights. As far as I know, I would imagine those will be very, very far down on that list.
Okay.
And it also depends on who's, we find that is your Santa Rosa Road there maintained by Caltrans?
County.
No.
By the county, okay, got it. County's easy to work with since we're part of that family. So, Caltrans does not like those.
Can I ask you a quickie question? It might be kind of goofy. So I go hiking. I live right across from Hill Canyon, right? So I go up, I hike to the top, and there's obviously been on a non-path hike. They're gone now, but there obviously were people staying there, right? Because there were clothes, flossers, food, you could tell they were camping there for a while. So when something like that happens, and it's not about them camping there, which that's probably not too cool, but it's more about if they're using fire. Is that kind of call something that I would say, hey, to the fire department, to say, hey, you might want to check this out? Or is that more of a?
Probably be law enforcement. You're talking about our urban campers, right? Our homeless population. Is that what it is?
Because they obviously there had been some fire. You could tell that they did, but it was, so I guess my question is, who do I call? Because I don't I'm not quite sure.
Probably law enforcement, you
Got
know,
it.
is
Okay.
the first thing there. Yeah, and we've seen our fires as a result of homeless warming and cooking fires increase significantly over the last few years. I'm not sure what exactly the cause is, but it's significant.
Okay.
Mostly in the river bottoms more than anywhere, but we also have them, like you said, in Hill Canyon. We have an area in Thousand Oaks where we have some pretty frequent fires. But usually it's a law enforcement issue.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
I had a couple of questions about your new airships.
Sure.
One is, how long does it take to get one of those ready to get in the air and actually start to fight a fire?
You know, if it's the regular hours and we don't have to recall pilots because they're not staffed 24/7, it probably takes about 10 minutes to get it spun up and moving.
And
So-
that would be with water on board, or?
No, but the amount of time it takes them to snorkel water is about 45 seconds to suck up 1,000 gallons. So, and usually we have dip sites located throughout the county where we have arrangements with ranchers or water districts or whoever has an open body of water to dip into their site. So it's pretty quick, and quite often, especially if it's off the roadway, that helicopter will be the first apparatus to drop water in the fire before our fire engines even can put water on it.
Mhm. And do we have a place near Santa Rosa Valley where they can dip in and get water?
I don't know where the dip sites are, but I would imagine, I don't know, how far is Bard Reservoir from
Bad
here?
Reservoir is pretty close.
Yeah, so that's a primary one. I don't know if there's something between the airport and there. I will also tell you that we have entered into a pretty unique partnership with Southern California Edison this year to actually have an additional helicopter on standby at the Camarillo Airport. It will also drop 1,000 gallons, and that is staffed 24 hours a day from June 15th to November 15th. That will have water on it as it launches from the airport. So that's an extra additional resource that's available for us, and we're really looking forward to keeping our fires small.
That's
And do
great.
these helicopters have night vision? Can they run at night?
Yes, they do. They are all night vision capable.
Right.
Yeah, the technology on them is amazing. And we, you know, what's interesting about these, we purchased them through federal GSA. So we didn't, CAL FIRE and some of the wealthier agencies purchased brand new Firehawks at a cost of $23 million each. We purchased these newer helicopters through federal GSA, and we probably have about $8.5 million into each one of them. So about a third of the cost, and they're just as good or better as the new ones.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
One other question I had is, I got a letter in the mail from my homeowner's insurance, and they said, good news, we have contracted with a private firefighting company to help protect your home. Do these private companies, what are they effective? Do you guys work together and coordinate, or how's that all work?
You know, initially when insurance industry first came out with them, it was a challenge. They're getting better. We saw quite a few of them during the Woolsey fire, and they were effective. And we're trying to figure out ways to work closely with them and make sure that they can safely operate in the areas and they don't become an issue for us. And I will say personally, if there wasn't a void to fill, these wouldn't be showing up. We know that when we have these fires like the Thomas and Woolsey fires, when there's not enough equipment, there will never be enough equipment, that these can actually provide some value in protecting some homes. You know, so they can be effective.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Sure.
And then one final question is, every 4th of July, there's somebody setting off fireworks, and you know, of course you call it in, but you guys are just plain overloaded with calls, I'm sure. Can we call it in to some number where at least the homeowner gets some sort of letter stating, we had a report of fireworks on your property, we're keeping an eye on you, or something to dissuade future activity of that sort.
Yeah, there isn't a mechanism for that. You can certainly call it into 911. Law enforcement will, obviously they're busy on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You can always shame them on that, what is it, next door?
Yeah, right. Yeah, next door. Yeah.
Put the addresses down of those houses that have been actively using fireworks. I don't know.
Is there some kind of software or something where they can detect hotspots for where like firework activity is happening?
Is there some? I don't know.
Oh.
You know, I'm sure if our helicopters were up and flying overhead, they have forward-looking infrared that would absolutely pick up those things. But beyond that,
This last year was the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, it was bad.
I bet.
Yeah.
Everyone was homebound. No shows were going, and hopefully it won't be as bad this year as people get out and go to actual professional shows.
Do you know if there's going to be the regular shows this year?
I haven't heard down there. I'm a resident of Santa Barbara. I heard that they are actually going to be doing it this year down by Stearns Wharf. So I'm imagining that will be happening in other places also.
Camarillo is doing them over at the outlets.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Thank you, Chief Lorenzen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Denise, I will circle back with you and see if there's any additional questions. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So,
Now we go to Tony. There you are.
Hi, yeah, I'm Tony Stafford, General Manager for Kenosha Water District. And just to follow up on the last presentation, they do use some of our ponds, which are located close to the university off Lewis Road and close to the Camarillo Airport. So they do pick up water there also. But I think what I'm going to do is, you sent me some information that may be of interest, a list. So I'll just go in the order that it was sent to me. And it falls right in line with what's being discussed. And it's about the PSPS preparedness and the backup generators and things that we have done. Just so you know, we have 20 generators throughout the district, 20 big generators. We have a lot more if you count the small ones for communication type. In the last 5 years, we purchased 6 big generators. And the last 3 that were purchased about a year and a half ago were portable, because what we've learned is that it's hard to predict where you'll need them, because once you get them on a fire and multiple fires pop out, you may need to move them.
oh, I'm
And these are large generators that can be paralleled for bigger loads or separated for medium-sized loads. And we've got 3 planned this year that will be purchased and installed. And 7 of those are in the Santa Rosa Valley.
What about
7 of the existing generators.
Did you install one on Yucca? Your plant there?
No, there's not one on Yucca. We've installed.
That's where one needs to be.
We have a priority list of where they need to be installed. And some of those, like Yucca, is a smaller station, and that's what the portable are for. So we don't install fixed generators at every site. Yucca is a small pump station, so if we need it there, we can pull up a portable generator.
But when that one goes out, you lose water in a lot of homes.
We do.
And there's people that depend on that water.
No, we understand that, but like I say, that's why we purchased the portable generator, so we can hook up facilities like that.
It seems to me, though, when you have actual residents who are going without water for 4 days, that is a problem, and that should possibly,
Well,
could be a fixed generator.
Yeah, they didn't go without portable water. They did go without non-potable water, and non-potable water is not a priority to us in fire. We have some locations that are non-potable, and non-potable just means not drinking water. We have some locations, a few, the fire hydrants that are non-potable, and those are all have generator facilities now. So that's what we've done as far as generators, and in working with the you know, you ask if we worked with SCE. What happens during a fire is we open up an incident command center, and we have an assigned agent with SCE that we're in constant communication with. So we know when they're gonna start dumping power. And the other thing we do is with the sheriff's department, we go and sit at the table at the OES, the Office of Emergency Services, their incident command center. And so we'll have a person there. And what's valuable about that is it's pretty remarkable how they have it set up. Is you go in there and one of the questions was, are we in partners with them? And yes, we are. They have 2 cameras within the district. One's up on Priscilla on the ridge on a tank, and the other was on a tank near the canal grate so that they can watch fires. But they also have a model. So if you're sitting at the table and they're running this model, with humidity and winds and the number of people fighting the fire, they can tell you the direction and how far out that they think it'll spread. And what that does is help us for taking these portable generators out and manpower also. But the other thing it does is, because we're sitting there with the sheriff's department, is if there's a power outage, a controlled power outage by SCE, we can talk to the sheriff's department and they'll make a call to SCE and see how quick we can get the power back on. So we are, and the fire department during these fires have incident command centers, and they have remote centers. Like when fires were in the Santa Rosa Valley, they had tents set up and emergency vehicles, and every evening and every morning they would do a debriefing, and we'd have somebody sit at that table too to see where their manpower was. And then if we had a facility that we thought was threatened, we could let them know at that time.
Well, you know, and I know you're talking about just fires. What about, again, this last time, because we had, and I know of 3 neighborhoods, and we're talking over 100 residents that went without water for 4 days. When the Southern California Edison decided that they were going to be, they decided to go ahead and turn off the power just in case to prevent a possible fire.
Okay, well, I talked to you offline, but I don't know if anybody that went out off drinking water. I know we had complaints because potable water, they couldn't irrigate their land, and they were wanting to fight fires and water down stuff. But I know some non-potable water that was out of service, but nobody with potable water.
Well, even non-potable water for landscape for 4 days is kind of long. So do you have something in place where that's not going to happen again?
Yeah, there's not 100% protection right now on the non-potable system. One is that it's we have a priority list of where we're putting in generators, and the first thing is to make sure we provide water to the fire department. And so that's what tops the list. We cannot have potable distribution system going dry with dry fire hydrants.
But if you have fire hydrants in neighborhoods that are affected by the non-potable water, aren't those affected?
Those are backed up. We purchased generators for those areas.
Okay, because like Camelot, Wildwood Ranch, both of those have hydrants in those developments that are basically on non-potable water.
No, they're not. They're on potable water.
They're on potable water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the non-potable hydrants were really on the west end of Priscilla and down towards Gary Road. But those generators have been installed.
Okay, well, I would like to hear that you're going to install one on Yucca. I really would. Because again, if we go another 4 days or something, when there is a fire going, that limits your ability to protect your home.
That station was not down for 4 days.
Oh, it was.
Yucca station wasn't. The potable station wasn't.
The non-potable was.
Yeah, but that's not what we call Yucca. There's not a non-potable Yucca pump station. It's potable.
The one that affected all of the water was located on Yucca Drive up above the gates. It's across the street from my son's home.
Yeah, that's a portable pump station.
Okay. So that only affected the potable water, you're saying?
The pump station is only for potable water, yes.
Okay, because then why was all the non-potable out?
That's what I'm saying. There were some non-potable systems out. And that's what I said. There are some irrigation systems that were out during the fires, the non-potable system.
We're not talking about fires though. We're talking about when Southern California Edison said, we're going to turn off the electricity because we are concerned about the winds.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. There were some non-potable systems without water, not potable systems though.
Okay, so we are agreeing on that, but there was a 4-day period.
There's a period, 4 days, I don't know what it was, but yes.
Okay, so I'd like not to have that happen again in the future.
Oh, I'm sure you would, and we would too, but there's a priority, and I've explained the priority earlier, that the priority is to get the potable water system and the generators put in those areas. And that's what we've been doing over the last several years.
Rosemary, I have a suggestion for your son. It's just hook up a way to put his potable supply into his non-potable lines, and then he can water all he wants.
Well, it's not just him. It's all of Camelot, all of Wildwood Ranch. We're not talking about his development. And that's what I'm trying to make a point of. This isn't like 10 homes. We're talking about over 100 homes. All of Camelot, all of Wildwood Ranch, all of the area that he's in, there are a lot of homes there. And they all went without water, the non-potable landscape water, when people were afraid and wanted to at least water their lawns.
Right. Yeah, as long as we agree that it was the non-potable system.
I agree. It was the non-potable system.
Right.
Well, if they're just trying to water their lawns, couldn't they just, hook up a garden hose to the spigot and put a rainbird sprinkler out there?
Our spigots are off. All of the water was off outside.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's no.
All of your
no potable-
outside water is off.
I see. Oh, say. So
Only
even
the
on the
house. Right. Only inside your house do your faucets work.
Oh, I see.
None of the.
Tony, let me ask you. Okay, so we have two separate systems in the valley. We have potable and we have non-potable. We have purple pipe and we have non-purple.
That's true.
So what percentage, I mean, I know you have the priority, you say, and so normally the non-potable is at a lower priority, but is there any of the non-potable system on batteries when there's a planned power outage, or is it like 100% non-potables out?
No, we've actually installed generators and purchased 3 portable generators. And the reason you purchase 3 portable generators out off the bat is so you can move them to facilities and get the water back on. And so that's what we wanted to do. We purchased a 375 kW that could run Yucca, that could run pump station 4, a 230 kW and 175 kW. And then we can parallel those and put them wherever we need them. So when we're going through this process and deciding where they need to be installed, instead of putting fixed generators everywhere, we needed to get some portable generators in our fleet so that we can move them. So if the Yucca non-potable system went down, we could move those generators to that pump station. And so that's what we did. We're not ignoring the situation.
Mm-hmm. But there's probably not enough portables to do all the pump stations that are on power when there's a planned power outage, or it depends on which circuits are out, right?
Depends on what circuits were out. And if it's not a fire situation, you usually know that SCE gives you 48-hour warning so we can position those where we need them.
Mm-hmm.
But we're putting one at pump station 2, which is in Santa Rosa Valley. That's going to go in the next 12 months. We're putting it on a well site so that we can keep water going, even if we lose Callegas. We're putting it on a communication hub because we have to have communication during the fires. So we're progressively installing more fixed generators and increasing our fleet for portable generators.
Is
Great.
there any way for us to possibly help donate one for that station?
For Yucca Station,
Yes.
well, we bought 3 of them, so you can
Okay.
donate another one if you want. I mean, we've stocked the fleet with 3 of them, and that's what they're for. And that was one of the reasons we did it.
Okay.
So are there
I
any
don't know how
areas-
much they cost, but if they're like 500, I would rather just buy one and know that it's there.
But try 500,000. So,
Oh, each portable one is 500,000?
well, no, if a 400 kW fix runs you about $500,000, because then you have to have fuel tanks that'll supply them for 7 days. You don't have to have it for 7 days, but we try to, because if you have an
Oh.
outage, you don't want to be refueling those. The portables are hundreds of thousands of dollars. The portable ones are. So they're not, you just can't go to Home Depot and pick these things up.
Okay, I had a completely different idea of what a portable one was. I'm sorry. I wish I had understood that from the beginning.
No, these are ones that can run big pump facilities. They're not the Home Depot type.
Okay, all right. Well, there goes that. Okay, at least I understand the situation a little bit better.
Are there any areas in Santa Rosa Valley, if there was a power outage for the entire area, that would not get any potable water?
No, we're in pretty good shape. One of the things that we do during, well, we have storage tanks on the side of the tank, and that'll buy you some time, even if you lose all power. And for long times, we would communicate we would want to reduce, as you're saying, we would want to reduce, not as you were saying, as you were arguing against, we'd want to reduce outdoor use to conserve water. In Santa Rosa Valley, you do not have non-potable water. So if there's a prolonged drought, worst case scenario, you lose import water, you lose all electricity. You want to conserve as much water as you can. And where you do that is on outside irrigation. And that would have to be communicated.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things I just mentioned, we've put generators on wells so that during emergencies, we can supply that are from water wells. Even if you lose Cayugas water, which is import water, we can still supply you water from local groundwater.
For how long? Like if the canal cracks in a big earthquake, that's my fear that the
Well, if the canal cracks, and that's probably the scenario you hear most often is the canal cracking. But Metropolitan and through metropolitan agencies, which is Cayugas, Rosa, the cities have paid through rates. They've got huge reservoirs with millions of gallons of water that they can go long time, even if the canal ruptures.
wow.
Yeah. And so we've got, even during this drought, I know that drought's not an immediate emergency, but it's very high on the priority list. We can go a long time with reduced deliveries through that aqueduct. And I'm assuming the aqueduct is what you're talking about is the canal. Yeah, but we've invested, and I say we, not just Rosa. Metropolitan led this of building huge reservoirs, and what they do is try to keep them as full as possible. So if something like that happens, they can still deliver us water. In most scenarios, it's more than a year. So.
Wow. Okay.
But all customers would have to participate in how we use water.
So I'd have to stop watering 5 acres of avocados with potable Rosa water.
Okay. All right.
Tony, one other thing, just one other minor thing. So I read in the notes that Linda Parks was suggesting the county be on a dig on road like once policy for like,
Right.
and we're asking for cable, new fiber optic cables for internet. So is there any plans to dig on Santa Rosa Road in the future?
Oh, in the future, but not in the near future. I don't know when you're wanting to do it, but we have worked with Cayugas, and we may be putting in a pipeline at some point, or they may even without us, as the salinity management pipeline. It's in their plans, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Oh, okay.
The original plans have it running up Santa Rosa Road to Simi Valley. So it would go right along the road somewhere. They've
Okay.
already put a segment of that pipeline from Lewis Road under the bridge at Upland.
Mhm.
So it's stubbed out and ready to go, I think that'd be an ideal time to do something with cable to get it up there. But
Well, let us know as soon as you hear that, because then we want to jump on that and put some other things in that hole.
okay, yeah, that's not an easy dig. There's so many pipes and gas lines going down Santa Rosa Road. I think part of their plan was they were going to have to purchase some land and get right off the road and put that pipeline in. But don't hold me to that. That's their decision.
Mark,
Thank you.
Mark knows where the gas line is through his parcel.
I sure do.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Is there
I have
anything?
one
Oh,
other question.
Michael.
Yeah, just a quick question. I got a notice in the mail that said that the water supply had exceeded certain government regulations, and I looked at the date of that it exceeded that, and it was, I think, last year. Is there a way of getting more real-time alerts to
Yeah, I don't know which
water quality?
which one you're talking about.
I think it was magnesium, was it, or manganese?
You shared that with us, Denise.
I came and spoke at the last at the MAC meeting, and I don't know. Time's gone crazy. I don't know how long ago that was.
Mhm.
But the last time that happened, I came and spoke. I think at one of your meetings. It was pre-COVID because we did it in person. But
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. And we were talking about the levels that had been identified some months before.
Right.
So what came out of that is, in the electronic communication age, I'd like to get on maybe a notice that, an email comes and says, right now our water is not meeting quality standards, rather than hearing about it, a year later.
Yeah, well, the year later was probably in a CCR report, but the reports go out sooner than that, and that timing goes through Department of Drinking Water,
Mhm.
and that's when the notifications go out.
So is anything being looked at to where there's a different type of notification system that's more real time than a past report? I mean, I assume you guys are testing water on a continual basis.
Yeah, every day,
Oh, every day. Okay.
multiple times every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, throughout the district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly would like to get on the list when it exceeds the limits, and then, I'll go to some other supply of water temporarily until it comes back down. But doesn't give me a lot of
anytime
faith
that
in the water.
the water quality, there's what they call primary maximum contaminant levels,
Mhm.
and those are safety issues, and those go out immediately. There are secondary drinking water standards, and they call them secondary MCLs, and the secondary standards are aesthetics. They're not harmful to you, but you could exceed one of those. And I know I've talked to people that live in the Santa Rosa Valley. One of those is, speaking of that, we just had a power outage here, but
Okay.
I'm on. Y'all still have me?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay, my lights are off, but I'm on battery backup. There we
Whoops.
go.
There you changed.
What was I talking about?
The primary and secondary.
Oh, secondary contaminants are just, they're not health standards at all. One of the standards is a hardness, and I know in the Santa Rosa Valley, you can, some places you can get calcium buildup on your faucets if you don't soften your water. Those are secondary. But the primary standards, there are strict notifications that those are done immediately. But aesthetics type thing, you know, those are just that. They're not safety issues.
So who is notified on a primary when a primary limit is exceeded?
Everybody is notified. Well, I say everybody. Depends if it affects the entire district would be. So it can be if you're in a different zone, whatever zone it affects.
And it goes out by what, mail or in the bill, or how's the notification work?
It's usually sent, we usually don't send it with the bill because a lot of people open up the bill and toss anything in it and they just want to see what they owe. So it goes out as a separate mailer, either a postcard or a letter. And I think the last one that we had was a hit and coliform, but the violation was not the hit. The violation was in a procedure. So that's when I came out and talked to the MAC.
Okay, thank you.
And we just, and it's something serious, we do have an automatic dialer that our first line of communication is it goes out through this auto dialer at the office to the constituent. So if it was a serious item, that's how it would be distributed. That's one way. That's the first way. And then it would still go out in other methods also, be posted on the website.
Would you notify KCLU maybe, Lance or Roscoe?
Do what?
You could tell KCLU, you know.
Oh,
the
right.
local
Yeah,
NPR.
I
Lance or
thought you said-
Roscoe?
Yeah.
Tony, there's a question in the chat that asks, when my water turns brown, is it harmful? It happens quite often and has a bad smell.
Well, you need to let us know if you're, because there's multiple reasons that it could be brown. So if you could, they don't have to tell me, but if you can get where they're located, I can send lab people out and talk to them.
Denise?
Yeah, I saw some more in the chat. I didn't read them, but there were like 4. Are there more items in there?
No, that's the only one. The others were for the fire.
Denise, do you have the picture that I sent to you?
Oh, yes. 1 second.
I'd like to first compliment Tony on your staff. I deal with them frequently on special projects like hydro seeding and that sort of thing, and they always do exactly what they promise. And so I really appreciate the quality of people that you've got working at Rosa.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And earlier in the year, we, Santa Rosa Valley, the MAC here, put together a survey. And one of the things they asked about was water quality and cost. I don't want to talk about cost because I know that's beyond my ken, but I would like to talk about water quality.
Okay.
Okay.
What Venice has put up on the screen is water filters that came out of my house. The white one is brand new. The very, very, very brown one is 6 months old.
Ooh.
So when we talk about brown water, smell, etc., this is what we're talking about. And
Yeah.
I installed these filters about 20 months ago, and they told me I needed to change the filter every year. I did that, and it was brown, very brown, much like this one. So I went to a 6-month changeover, and this is the filter I just pulled out after 6 months of use. So this is the kind of quality issue that Santa Rosa Valley is looking at in terms of what water's coming into our house.
And if you can, you don't tell me because we're in a public meeting here, but if you can email me and send me your address, I can find out what that is. But there are iron and manganese can cause that.
Okay. Well,
but
I'll
that's
get your email from Venice then, and I will send you that information.
Yeah, no, and I'll send our lab guys out and look at that. But the most common thing that I've seen on that is iron and manganese, and usually iron because, you know, you can even, if iron's too bad, you can see it on your clothes when you're washing it or.
Well, I don't see it on my clothes because I have the filter system, but you know,
Right,
other
right.
people don't.
But we don't want you to see it on your clothes, but I'm saying if it's bad enough, you could.
Exactly. One last question I'd like to have, which touches on something about water supplies. I used to work for a major soft drink company, and around the world, we had a number of desalination plants. Is there anything like that planned to work on this California drought issue?
Yeah, I could talk on that on several hours. Well, one we have a brackish desal plant in Camarosa. It's not ocean desal, but we do almost 1,000 acre feet through a brackish groundwater. The groundwater's so salty that it can't be used for irrigation. And we've invested in that, and we get about 1,000 acre feet. An acre foot is 326,000 gallons a year from that. So, and the city of Camarillo is getting ready to install a groundwater desal unit also. But I think what you're referring to is more of an ocean desal to get Southern California out of the shape they are.
Yes.
And the technology's there. The big problem is the biggest hurdle is political. It's the intake on an ocean desal. There's a lot of people against ocean desal. That's the thing you can't get permitted, is the intake and all the microorganisms that you may or may not take in the intake. But the technology's there. They're doing it all over the world. But then there's other groups that you know, quite frankly, may not want us to have all the water we want, just for the slow growth and not to encourage growth. But the big thing is whoever's fighting it is the intake on the ocean desal.
Okay, thank you. I
You bet.
appreciate that.
And I think that's the way we ought to head. And I see Mr. Pokes on the line. I mean, Camarosa's even talked to the Navy at one point about a joint venture, and we figured they had bigger guns than we did and could get around some of these hurdles. But now United Water is working closely with the Navy on projects. So I think it's the way to go. But
I agree. Yes.
But if that's the way you go, you have to be willing to pay a little more, because the cost is going to cost more than what groundwater does. I mean, you pull it out of the ground now, a lot less than you can purchase import, and you can purchase import a lot less than you can buy desal water. So there's a lot of fronts on that you'd have to get past to have ocean desal.
Well, we have all these icebergs that are melting, so we have a steady supply of water. We just to tap into it.
It's funny you say that. I was talking about ocean desal one time, and I told them we were gonna help this global warming thing, because all we wanted were the top 3 inches on the ocean to do ocean desal.
Yes.
We'd stop that water rise, but
Thank you, Tony.
you bet, thank you.
Thank you, Tony, so much for giving us the time this evening.
You bet. I see something else is there anything else?
There was an address for the resident who had brown water. I can email that to you though. I'll send that.
Oh,
to you.
I can write it down. I see it here.
Oh, you see it? Okay. Okay.
I have a question for you. So at home, do you drink water from the tap?
I do.
Do?
I do.
Got it. I do too. I was just curious.
Oh, yeah, no, I know y'all have other things to do, but there's actually a bar in LA. I don't remember the name of it. It's a water bar. And you can go buy water all around the world, and it has different levels of hardness and TDS.
I know what you're talking about.
Do you?
Yep.
I haven't been to it, but what I read about it, it's funny how people gravitate to the one that has more minerals in it, which is hardness, because it has a taste, and but that's a side note. But yes, I do drink my faucet water.
Got it.
And your faucet in a Camarosa development.
No, but I have harder water than what you're drinking. I'm on the east end of Ventura, and that's all well water.
Ah.
So, but
Are there any plans to lower arsenic in the water? I understand that arsenic is one of the major carcinogens, in the water supply.
yeah, and it's a natural occurring thing, and that's something that's monitored on a regular basis too.
Mhm.
Is the arsenic levels
Right.
in water. Yeah.
I know you're within the regulations, but then I guess there's another set of targets that are far lower for arsenic.
Right. I would encourage all of you to, when our consumer confidence report comes out, to look at that and go through it. You'll see every element that's in, every constituent that's in the water.
Yeah, I do
And then
read that.
Yeah, and I'd be glad, I'd bring a lab guy so that he could speak better to it, but I'd bring it to a meeting and let him discuss that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. We do appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, have a good evening.
Yeah, y'all too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Tony.
All right, so now let's talk about the Bridlewood Debris Basin Removal Project at Equestrian Trail. Who's talking about that?
I guess that would be moi.
Mm.
I had a meeting recently with representatives from Bridlewood. They have, if you remember, just to go one step back before that, there was an issue about the equestrian trail. Met with WPD, this was from last time, and they were waiting for, they wanted to get the easement document finalized and the easement assigned before they made any decisions about what they wanted to do about the little bit of the equestrian trail issue. Anyway, the Bridlewood has a lawyer who is, has created a document for the easement that includes 3 parties, would be Bridlewood HOA, the owners of the property, and Ventura County WPD. So that document was, as I understand, has been sent to the Watershed Protection District, and they will be, they and presumably County Council will be reviewing it. I don't know if they have separate council from County Council. They will be reviewing it. So that's the latest that I have heard. It seems like the project is more or less finished at this point. I'm not seeing any work going on there. I think they're very close to having done that. So I think we're waiting for feedback from the county, or Bridlewood is waiting for feedback from the county on the document that they have sent. So that's the latest.
This is a sidebar regarding that issue. I was involved in a transaction of a Bridlewood home, and a notification was given to us that the owners of that property are now suing Bridlewood for this decommissioned dam. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I am. That's a different property.
Oh, that is a different property.
Correct.
Okay.
Not the
All right.
property where the easement is.
Well, it's too bad that this has turned into that. So anyway,
Yeah, it's probably best for me not to comment on that.
okay. Well,
Okay.
again, it's now part of public disclosure to potential people.
What I can say is that, yes, my understanding is that there is a lawsuit or potential lawsuit that includes, well, the county and Bridlewood and so on, but I can't really comment on the details of it.
Okay. All right. Is there any questions about the dam or?
Yeah,
Was-
how does the landscaping look, Mark?
I actually haven't gone and looked at the details of the landscaping, so I can't answer that. I've only, the last meeting I had was not on site. So that would be something for me to look at before the next meeting.
Okay, I noticed we have a homeowner online here, Ken. I don't know, because I know he was very interested in this. Did he have any questions or anything about the subject? It's not a video, so I don't know if he's hearing me. Are you
He's
getting
muted.
anything?
He's muted.
You can unmute. Anyone can.
Okay, there he
Okay.
is.
I'm here. Yeah, I was just curious when they were doing it, if they were going to get an easement back through there, because that used to be the way that you could get down to the far end of Bridlewood, down by the school, was going through that decommissioned basin area. And then when they did all the work, they put a chain link fence across there. And so now if you want to ride a horse from where I live in Wildwood Ranch, that you got to go a lot of ways on paved dirt. I've got older horses. They don't do well on paved roads. They don't do well walking on paved roads for long times. You know, they end up buying a lot of butte. So sounds like they're working on an easement so we can get through there again.
Yes, so just to give you a little background, one of the things that the MAC was very concerned about when this was proposed, by the removal of the basin was proposed by Watershed Protection District, was that they would make sure that the equestrian easement or trail that was the easement to Bridlewood would continue after the dam was removed. Watershed Protection District designed the work that they did so that they included the trail on this one particular property. The trail is all on the one particular property, which is the property to the east of the Watershed Protection District of the basin. The design of it included extending the tunnel that goes under the road in order that equestrian easement would be able to go across the arroyo at that point. I don't know if you've seen it on driving by your car there, but it's sort of like you can't notice it now, but they extended out the tunnel. So everything has been done in order to for this easement to continue afterwards. after the work is done. So at the moment, we're just going through some legal issues regarding, or I'm going to say we, Bridlewood Homeowners Association is going through the legal issues to get that resolved.
Okay, I was just curious if that was ever gonna be open up
I
again.
can't wait to get right through there myself.
All right, thank you for all the work you do on keeping the trails open out here.
Well, enjoy them.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mark. All right, going on to the next item, our goal setting. Action item.
I can share that document that we, where is it? Here it is. Did it share?
No.
No.
No. But you sent it to us before.
Yeah, we just pull up the document.
Well,
I
what
have
I
the
can
doc-
do is if you
Oh,
have
there it is.
changes or any, it's a Word doc, so I can make changes as you speak.
Okay, I did speak to Camarillo regarding, because the fire department did seem to, you know, unless we have a class of at least so many people, they didn't seem to be active about wanting to set up another training session in Santa Rosa Valley. But we have been told that our CERT members are welcome to join the city of Camarillo at their training. And I've been trying to send notices as to the new training times that are coming up.
And did the email list I sent you of all the residents from the survey?
Right.
Okay.
We basically, I'm sending it out on social media to let everybody know, like on Nextdoor, so that they're aware of when those training sessions are. And everyone who's on that list is on that Nextdoor list.
Okay, yeah, because they said they wanted to.
Yes. Well, there was an upcoming, this one is virtual, but there is something upcoming in Camarillo. And every time there is something that is offered through Camarillo or the county, I try to send it out to everybody.
Okay.
But I need to get that, you know what I should probably do is a separate email list to all those people too. So I will do that prior to next meeting.
Okay.
Emergency radio network to support CERT. I know there were some people who were interested in that. I sent them information about the next amateur radio class.
Mhm.
Because in order to be on that type of radio, it is an amateur radio license is required. But there is a second one that we've abandoned because there hadn't been the interest, but maybe if we could get interest again. We had some on the local channels that wasn't requiring the license.
Okay. And Mr. Peterson has that, the
Right.
ERN list as well. So,
Yeah, and he and I speak every Tuesday at our check-in time.
oh, good.
Okay, Santa Rosa Valley website, is that something that's gonna be through the county? Because I know you didn't want to have one that was private.
Well, we have one. I mean, we have.
I know.
Santa Rosa Valley. So I even changed the web address because it used to be this crazy, ridiculous URL. Now it's just ventura.org/Santa Rosa Valley Mac. It's this, oh no, this isn't the agenda.
It looks great. I've been to it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and so I do have some metrics. I looked into it after our last meeting. So from January to March, it had 202 page views, 145 unique page views. So they, I guess, went like and clicked on something, I guess. The average time spent on the page was 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So it had 103 entrances, which is the number of time visitor entered a site through a specific page. So from somewhere else. A bounce rate of 71, well, it's basically 72%. And that's the percentage of single pass sessions. So where they went through and didn't click on anything. So about 71% kind of scrolled through, looked at, didn't click anything. And then a 56.9, so 57% exit rate, which indicates how often users exit from a page or that set of pages. So
No, it honestly looks great. I've been using that as the guide to send people to the meetings and hoping that they'll also sign up to get future information. But I'm doing it through that page to encourage people to go to it.
Right, so we've changed it up a little bit where at the top of the page, we put the link to the agenda and the videos for the previous meetings. If you have suggestions to change it up, what to put on, I'm happy to do that. Down at the bottom, we have our community information, which has like the survey, and we can even, if you want, I can like maybe take the survey and put it up, make it a little more prominent rather than just as under the list of, what is it, community here. I can actually, if you want, I can bring it up, you can look at it, but I'm happy to, go through and, add whatever you guys want.
I'd love to have the survey online so that they can do it that way. I think a lot of people don't do the handwritten one.
Well, we are definitely going to do an online survey next time. Yeah, that was a lot of,
A lot of tallying.
A lot of tallying, yeah. So here's your website. So you can see, you can click on here, you can send me comments. Here's all our meetings. If you scroll down, this little goes to the website, or I mean the flyer that does have the website here, although it's not interactive. Oh no, it is interactive.
It is interactive.
It is. So, and then down here, you can click. So we have the agenda both up at the top and at the bottom. And then here is this big thing. If you want to sign up, you can sign up there to get updates. And then we have any community information.
I think it's
What's
great. I
the
think it's
new-
just getting it out there.
And
Yeah.
what's the new streamlined URL?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What's the new streamlined URL to get to this now? You said it's ventura.org /
It's
Santa Rosa Valley, or-
ventura.org/Santa Rosa Valley Mac.
Mac, okay.
Yeah. It was just a little too long before it was, I don't know if you remember, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was too hard to get to.
Yeah, I actually did that for all my Macs. So, but again, I can certainly, if you want to tool around, I mean, we can pull stuff out if you want to, like, right, the most recent, it's all the most recent thing on this community information. So the most recent was the Edison Action Plan. But I can pull stuff out, highlight it up here in this general area if you want.
I'm gonna say, first of all, I didn't know that this had changed, and it seems like it's something that maybe we can look at and review, not in the middle of a meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
Certainly, it looks like we've got a huge improvement in terms of communication here.
Yes. Yes.
And then the next thing would be to make sure that this information is somehow or other available to people. Maybe it can be pinned on the top of a who's got the Santa Rosa Valley voice page. Maybe pin that, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So let's think about getting the word out.
Right. So you just, we're continue going. Just let me know where you want me to send things or what you want to put on the website.
I think it looks like
It looks great.
far superior to what we've had before.
Okay. Now it does have the county contact information on it.
Well, it's a county website, so you can go.
Okay.
If you click on like the logo at the top, it'll get you to. I stopped sharing, but you basically go to the regular county page. So you can get to other county departments because it's in the county website.
I looked at it very briefly as it came out. Was I right in thinking that you have the Zoom of the previous meeting goes up on that website and you can play it?
Yes,
That's pretty cool.
all of our videos, all,
That's great. So people can watch our meetings who cannot make it that night. That's wonderful.
Yes.
and I have sent the link to people who've emailed me personally saying, oh, I couldn't make it, but I was interested, so.
Yeah, I think it's great.
That's wonderful. Okay, let's go through this if we could.
Sure. Pull it back up.
Okay, community outreach education about the MAC. Are we just approving that this is what we want as our goals?
Yeah, you can just approve or you can make changes to it. I don't know that you necessarily have to.
I mean, I think all of these things are what we've discussed. I don't think there's anything missing.
Right, so you can, it's
There
just.
was something at the very bottom that I noticed, Venice. Santa Rosa Valley Regional Park. So table to future MAC meeting.
Yes, so they didn't get to it at the last MAC meeting. It was
Maybe
the,
we can, what is that gonna be?
we can
Now,
we can do that at any time. We can do it, we can wait because, you know, GSA hasn't come back to us with any information on that.
But
So,
as far as goals, I think we should have a goal about the park. I don't know what the goal is, but can we come up with something?
I agree. Do we want to go through, Rosemary? Do we want to go through in order with each item before, and rather than jumping about?
yeah,
Sure.
however,
That's where we were. Okay, the last time was more community outreach education about the MAC. Again, I believe that the website does that. I think we just talked about service providers, Southern California Edison possibly providing generators for service providers.
Can I just
yeah.
add to the, I guess the community outreach includes social media, other social media sites other than the new website, correct?
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
what-
formalizing the channels that we're going to use. Like, well, our goal is to formalize, how do we do it on Nextdoor? How do we do it on whatever?
All right, and should, I guess we don't need to talk about how we do things at this point. We just need to talk about what the goals are. Is that correct?
Correct.
okay, so you don't need me to,
No, I mean, I guess I'm getting too much into the weeds.
He wanted to understand what number 5 actually means, which,
Right.
I mean, we might all, but we can discuss it as we hit each goal.
Okay. All right, I'm good on that. Sorry, Rosemary, moving on.
Okay. All right, service providers, Southern California Edison, backup generators for service providers, communication after wind events, circuit servicing Yucca Drive neighborhood.
I'll see if I can
Okay.
get a more, another update from SCE from Rudy Gonzalez.
Now, I know we
Yeah.
were told that they were going to change that, the circuit that one was on.
Yes,
Okay. Because I think you've had a few discussions and my mind's just gone blank on the families' names, that they're older and they were dependent on the medical equipment.
Mhm.
Patrick. Oh God, his name is Patrick something. Do you know who I'm talking about? Denise?
I'd have to go through my emails.
Okay, anyway.
Thing of it is I'll ask Rudy for an update on where they are on.
Right.
So I just noticed
Um,
that.
I spoke to Rudy earlier this week, actually.
Oh, okay.
So one of my questions, and I don't see it on the list, but I think we should add it, is putting in the insulated conductors and segmenting the underground wiring from the overhead wiring. And so I talked to him, at a little bit of length there to see what they're doing, and they are working on a plan to do just that. So our power for Santa Rosa Valley comes in from the Moore Park substation, and they are going to put insulated conductors on there so that, and then when it reaches Santa Rosa Valley and goes underground, they're going to put switches on the backside so that the non-insulated conductors or conductors going off to other communities can be shut off without shutting off Santa Rosa Valley. So the goal is to, in wind events, to keep the power on as much as possible in Santa Rosa Valley. So they're working on a plan. They're gonna send me information about that plan once they have it, once they get it a little bit more formalized. So I'd like to see that added on, maybe as letter D for that. Would
That
be,
sounds good.
preventing the public safety power shutoffs in Santa Rosa Valley. And it sounds like we're at least going in the right direction there. And
Rosa.
they are well aware of the fact that Santa Rosa Valley is mostly underground wiring, and they don't want to shut the power off to Santa Rosa Valley if they can help it.
Yeah,
Yippee.
I remembered that family's name. The last name is Welch, but it really gave them a lot of medical issues when the power got turned off for so many days. And supposedly they were going to change the service line that area was on.
Yeah, they're working on that. They're trying to put that neighborhood on the Rosa circuit. And I forget the name of the circuit that they were on. I also found out there's another circuit that I'm on. So there actually are more circuits here than we originally had talked about.
There's two. There's the Morgenstein and the Zone. And the Rosa circuit is more on the Camarillo. I think that's in the city of Camarillo, but I want to say the majority of Santa Rosa Valley is Morgenstein, if I remember correctly. And then
Okay.
Zone is like north, and then it kind of comes down into off Yucca Valley. This is like little sliver. It's the weirdest configuration. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it's the zone they're moving to the
west.
Rosa circuit.
Yes,
Right.
to Rosa,
Right.
Okay.
which is now like in Camarillo, if I remember.
Well, it was just more like Santa Rosa Valley, I think.
Mhm. So
Back to goals. Back to goals.
back to goal. Yeah. So this is without getting. Thank you.
Backup service from cable service providers. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I jumped.
Camera.
Camera water. I think we've talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, we like that. That's a good go.
Okay, number 3, cable internet providers. I'd still like to see them figure out some sort of a backup service during these PSPS things. I like that on here. And
Yeah.
to do a partnership with Southern California Edison. I'd like to see that stay here. Any other
Yeah.
comments on that?
Well, I did ask Rudy about that as well, and they are working, or they do have plans to work with, say, Spectrum and the cellular providers on trying to prevent power from being shut off to their equipment during these PSPS events. So I don't have anything definitive yet on that, and I don't think they really do either. But anyway, that's something I'll kind of keep monitoring.
Is Spectrum the only cable provider in the Santa Rosa Valley?
It's the only one that I know of.
There's line of sight.
Right. I'm talking about cable, not
Cable.
You don't have Frontier out there?
As far as I know, it's only Spectrum, but
I think it's only Spectrum. That's the only one I know of.
Yeah, I think they bought both the ones that were in the ground. They bought both of them somehow. They merged.
remote.
Right.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
And all the homes I've sold, that's the only one. Okay. I like the partnership with SCE. Transportation, I love this idea. Lighted street signs on Santa Rosa Road. Now that's something I imagine we talked to David Fleisch about.
Yeah,
Well,
we have, and you know,
well, I've got some good news on that. It's
Okay.
done. They finished it up.
they are there. Oh yeah,
All the signs that were dead have now been repaired.
right. That's what I mentioned in my comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the thing that they're going to replace them eventually with reflective lights? Reflective signs?
Well, the county's position is that if a lighted street sign fails to the point where they can't repair it at all, then they would replace it with a reflective sign. Unfortunately, there is one reflective sign. I don't know if we can talk them into putting a lighted one in where there used to be one. And that's at East Las Posas, if you're going eastbound on Santa Rosa Road. That one broke, it kind of partially fell down, and then that one got replaced by a reflective. The other side of the street going westbound, though, is lighted, and I had them requested that they do fix that one, and which they did. So if you drive down Santa Rosa Road now, you'll see they're all working. So I'm very, want to thank the Public Works Department for doing that work and getting that done. It looks great. I mean, it really is much easier to see those signs now.
Great.
One thing, and you guys talk about Yucca a lot. They've always asked for the left turn to be a non-protected left turn. So the way you see that in Thousand Oaks is a flashing yellow light, yellow arrow to turn left. So you don't necessarily have to wait at a red arrow when there's no cars approaching you. A lot of people run the light in that situation. And I don't know, that's a minor goal, but I don't want to lose it because there's a lot of people on Yucca
I
hate
think
that.
Dave Fleisch had talked about that those are used in urban areas, but not necessarily on like straightaways like Santa Rosa Road. I'd have to look through my notes, but I feel like we've talked to him about this, that it was, and it was the speed limit that is allowed on Santa Rosa Road.
You know what, Venice, you're right. I'm sorry. I should have let that one go. Maybe I got it confused with the yellow reflective borders.
No, that one's still coming.
No,
Yeah.
You're right, because the residents who have come to our meetings have all brought that up, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
I'm not quite understanding what the issue is there. So for instance, well, let me give you East Las Posas, which I turn on a lot.
Yeah, no, that's how East Las Posas works.
Okay.
But it's called a non-protected left turn. In other words,
Right.
you're allowed.
Right. So it goes protected when the light turns green. Let's say I'm going eastbound. It's because I was kind of looking at that. I remember people were talking about the left turn. I said, let's see what this one does. So if you are at the light and it turns green, you'll have a protected left, and then it turns off. The left turn arrow turns off, and you can then continue making an unprotected left.
Yeah, and that's because that signal was installed before the other ones. When the other ones were installed, the new rule was we can't have that anymore. If you don't catch the green arrow, you're going to be catching a red arrow, and then you're waiting for the whole cycle to go through. So then the question was, well, can we have a yellow flashing arrow like in Thousand Oaks City where it turns green, protected, and then it flashes yellow? So it's a little bit, it's a medium protection, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a caution. Don't turn left with oncoming traffic coming at you. But I think Venice is right. He said there's, that everything on the traffic world, from every sign to everything, the way it works, it's all in the manual, the California Transit Unified Manual. So if it ain't in there, the county's not going to do it, kind of thing. It's interesting though he brings up, we wanted custom signs with wording saying, hey, report drivers to this number. The signpost that they're going to remove the dynamic, that'd be a perfect place to put that, like just one sort of informational sign. And Dave goes, no, that's not in the manual. We're not doing it. Well, what's the sign that says they change it every so often about the fire, it's fire, do your weight abatement. I mean, that's not in the manual. So at any rate, we get different stories depending on whether they want to do it or not.
How about call in drunk drivers?
Something. I think we should use that poll for something, and not for a 655-mile-an-hour thing, but for,
Right.
that's a good idea. We should suggest something to the county that, you know, we don't want the 55. Well, what do you want? And pull
Mhm.
something out of the manual that we like. I'll look into that.
Yeah, tell
Or
us what's in
watch
the manual.
watch for bicyclists.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kevin, I'm going to say to you that what you've just said is we would never have traffic signals in Santa Rosa Valley if we had just agreed with what you just said. So I'm going to suggest we put in under the traffic and transportation issues a review of, number 4, review of flashing left turn arrow. Because honestly, the department always says negative things.
Uh-huh.
We were not supposed to have these traffic signals in the first place. We got them. So let's have a review.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna just be offline for about 30 seconds.
Bio break.
Okay, let's go to fire safety. Okay, report on
Well-
response times from Ventura County Fire Department. You know, I wasn't aware that our response times were so low. And I
I'm sorry,
honestly,
Rosemary,
Yeah.
I did want to add one other thing to the transportation.
oh,
section.
okay, I'm sorry, Michael.
That's okay. No, I just realized it. Improving road condition. So
Okay.
for instance, right now I'm working with the road department on either getting a slurry code or repaving of Barranca and Priscilla. And I know there were somebody, I have to go back and look through the survey, but I think a couple people reported potholes. So I just kind of want to put that on the radar, and I'm glad to follow up on those to try to.
Denise, can you add that as number 5, please?
Sure.
No, number 5.
Oh, whoops, sorry, didn't go down.
Would it be more like
Road maintenance.
monitor road maintenance or something?
Well, I like road surface.
Monitor road surface.
Yeah, road surface, yeah.
You know, Michael, there is, I don't know if Dave hit you with this one, but or whoever you're talking to, but
Mhm.
all the county roads, there's actually an interactive map that shows where they're doing construction, and one of them is paving plan, and you can turn it on or off. And I was
Oh,
looking
okay.
for the spreadsheet, because before the interactive map, they have a spreadsheet of every road when it's scheduled to be repaved.
Oh, okay.
If you got a special request in to jump those 2 streets ahead of other people in that plan, bravo. But you know, I don't know if we were on the plan anyway, Priscilla and Barranca, but I don't see much difference on those roads than any of the other. It seemed to me those are the same condition of every other Rancho track road. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, they're actually quite a bit worse. The aggregate's all coming up from the pavement. And you can see just like piles of gravel along the side of the road on both those 2.
Huh.
That
I
are
live on
not
Priscilla. I live on Priscilla.
Yeah,
I go out on that road every day in my Gator, and I don't see any piles of gravel at all.
yeah, if you take a look on the shoulder, that's where you see it. Also,
That's what
if you
I'm
go to-
saying. I mean, I you know, what do you call it? I blow the gutters clean on a long stretch of Priscilla.
Oh, okay.
And if there was gravel there, I'd be blowing gravel, and I don't see it. But I'm just,
Okay.
that's a 4-mile road. So I'm not
Yeah,
disagreeing
maybe
that there's
down at that
places.
end, it's a little better.
But now they're going to be doing the whole road again in front of my house. It's not really needed. I don't know. And the guys that do it, it's not the county. They outsource that. And when those guys come through, they probably did a crappy job on your end and a good job on my end. I don't know, but it's just, that's the situation, I think. So, but anyway, overall, the county they have limited funds. And so they have to have that priority list of which roads, how often do they need to do them?
Right.
I can
And
do that
also-
too, Michael. Also, you know, if you want, if you CC me on these communications, there's a lot of information I can give you that we already have. So,
Okay, great. Thank you.
okay. But I'll look for that spreadsheet and get it to you.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
informative. Like, wow, they have a lot to do all over the county and not enough money to do it with.
Yeah.
But Michael, we all applaud what you're doing, because
Well-
obviously you're getting in there and trying.
Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, where we are now, as far as the communications, in fact, I talked to them today, is somebody's coming out to inspect the roads to see what the condition is, and then also to see where it is, I think on that chart that you're talking about, Kevin.
Well, what I noticed was it was colored orange. The ones that are each paving project has to be approved by the Board of Supervisors.
Hmm.
So the department brings, you know, their suggested list of streets for approval, and those are lit up different color. The Brank and Priscilla right now is orange, meaning I guess it's under review, like you say.
Okay.
But don't be surprised if they come back and say, no, we're not doing this yet, or whatever. It's up to
Yeah.
but they're going to have to go to the Board of Supervisors to get it approved before they can actually do it. But yeah, there's activity because they put counters to count the traffic on Priscilla down the street between me and Escalera.
Mhm.
And that's always interesting too, because they're always having to keep track of how often are these roads being used. And I'm sure that factors into their equation of how often do they need to be repaved, you know, so what
Mhm.
they're required
Yeah.
to maintain the statistics on level of service. And level of service is actually changing. I wanted to bring it up later in the meeting, but on July 28th, Dave Fleisch has put out this thing where public encouraged to review and comment on new vehicle miles traveled threshold of significance. And it's a new measurement. I don't know if you're familiar with level of service on roads, but that's basically you're graded on how shitty it is to get, I'm sorry, this is being recorded, but how bad it is to travel on that. Like, is there a lot of traffic all the time? The level of service is low, like, oh God, you're at 2. Whereas if it's good, or I forget which end it goes, but
Like,
that's
it's like school, A, B, C, D.
right. There's 5 levels of service. There's a more technical way to do it now called VMT, vehicle miles traveled. And the county has to adopt that as the standard. And so they have to have a public review of it, of the cutover to that new, and I don't know if that'll affect our, like we have an LOS that determines, it really was important in the general plan. If Mark's back, he knows that that's the difference of a 2-lane road versus a 4-lane road going through Santa Rosa Valley. If the VMT changeover suddenly puts us in a situation, whoa, now we need to take you to a 4-lane road to get the VMT where it needs to be, we may be battling a change to the general plan that we don't want. So it's so technical with, you know, these transportation engineers that understand this stuff. I certainly don't, but it's a metric and it's going to change. What's interesting though, it says, although LOS is being removed from the county's environmental review process, see, that's where it comes in like a new development, like you can't put that in because that'll screw the LOS. Now it says, although it's being removed from the county environmental review process, it's not being removed from the county's development review process. So maybe I had that backwards. Maybe it still will, they'll still have LOS for development review, but use VMT for environmental review, CEQA. I don't know what it all means. But
I for one, would be very interested to find out what this VMT thing is, because LOS is an important part of how has been an important part of how they assess roads, how they assess intersections. It's included in the general plan for the county under, you know, a lot of different areas. So
yeah, but like for CEQA, Mark, is it important that it's under CEQA, they're going to VMT?
all right, well, this is all kind of new information. So
well, I've got the it's on Dave's website. I pulled this off. I was looking somewhere and I thought I saw that and I'm like, oh, it's a public notice about Tuesday, July 28th at 11 a.m. they're gonna have this public meeting about it. It's in the supervisors or chambers. I'll send it to you, Mark.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay, so let's go on to, now that we've gotten that done, did anybody else want to talk?
I say I added it to the goals, Kevin.
Thank you. Okay,
well,
fire,
put level of service / vehicle miles traveled, if you want to spell it out. Vehicles
Okay.
miles traveled.
Vehicle mile.
thank
There
you.
you go. Okay.
So now let's go to fire safety. And like I said, I was very impressed, Kevin, or in listening to what they just told us. I did not realize our response time was so much longer in our area. And somehow it's just like, to me, like when they have schools and they have to offer a certain kind of education, wouldn't you have to have a certain level of response time by the fire department? I don't know who we can ask to research this that is not the fire department, but I do think that this is an issue and it is something that should be addressed for our valley.
Well, Chief Lorenzen, I mean, I'm gonna take this because you got the report, but he did say that he would look into the triggers for the need for a fire station.
Yeah, what he said was the supervisors haven't defined any kind of trigger on that, but he was gonna look into.
But whether or
Maybe-
not there's a standard for it. I mean, forget for a moment our board of supervisors. I mean, it seems to me there might be a standard for it somewhere, and I would like to know, I would like the research to find out if there is.
But every area, every rural area is different. I mean, we're lucky. I've had 2 incidents near me that they came within 15 minutes and put out a little brush fire. One time they came actually 15 minutes to pick me up off the pavement when that one little yellow dot was an accident on Priscilla. That was me within the last 3 years.
But I feel like we get it from both ends because we got 52, right?
Mhm.
Westbound, and then we've got the Moore
I
Park.
think
and
it's 34.
It's station 52.
52 in, I think in Camarillo.
We
Yeah.
have 3. We have 3 within 5 miles. I'm trying
Yeah.
to find new homeowners insurance, and the lady I was talking to on Costco Insurance, oh, you have 3 within 5 miles. Well, I'm like, really? I didn't realize that. 3 within.
There's one
5.
on Moore Park, off of Moore Park Road in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, that's the one I thought is my station, Avenue Charbonnet.
I think that's our station too. I think that's station 34.
Well, he said on the call tonight that station and 52 were the stations that serviced us.
Okay.
And Moore Park 3, in fact.
There's 3, Moore Park.
Yeah.
Park,
Moore Park
Thousand
was-
Park, Marvelous, and the one down by the Greek church.
Yeah, Mission Oaks.
Yes. So I still want to, while we're in this area, I'm glad that you added the trigger, but I still want to have a reference of how we compare to the rest of the Ventura County from him.
Yeah.
He promised us. And Denise, I hope you'll follow up with that.
What's our
A response
how-
time
how-
in SRV to other parts of the county and county,
Perfect. Parts of county, other parts of county.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should pinpoint where,
Incorporated areas or
No, other parts of county, just other parts of county.
yeah, but
what parts?
I'm most interested in what's another place of the county that's like us.
Right, that's what we're asking about. So first of all, I'd like to know to the overall, to the whole county, but then I'd like to know compared to like Somas, and he talked about Upper Ojai.
Somas.
Yeah,
think so.
I'm going to say comparison of response times to county, overall county, and to other unincorporated areas.
Yeah,
Okay.
how about similar areas? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to compare us to an area that's not like us with a mix of dense parcels and big parcels. That's what I'm
Well,
looking for.
To me, the closest thing would be Somas.
Is there, oh yeah, because they have tight neighborhoods too.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Somas is the closest to us.
Yeah,
That was what I
Well-
mentioned to him, if you remember.
yeah, that's the first one you said, Mark. But anyway, we'll look at them all, but that's the
Yeah.
one I'm interested in.
And perhaps Ojai.
Yes.
Ojai City with some of its outlying bigger parcels?
Yeah, maybe some of its
Ohio, so-
outlying areas.
Park,
Sure, why not? I mean, let's get as much information as we can.
But
We're
I
up-
don't, Oak Park doesn't have any properties that I know of that are like on 1 acre or more. There's,
vague.
Yeah,
Leave it vague. We'll get as much as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, Old Agora, but that's not part of Ventura County.
What about El Rio? No.
Can you put,
I honestly think Somas is the closest.
Actually,
can you put other similar unincorporated communities, please?
Okay.
How's that, guys?
that's fine. Denise, how many max does Linda have now?
4.
Well, what are they?
Somas, Casa Conejo, and Oak Park.
Conejo. Okay, Casa Conejo. No, that's not.
But Casa Conejo's dense. I mean, that's not.
Hey,
all
since I have you and Linda's not on, I'm so thankful she set up Max, but not every supervisor does that. It's a lot of work.
I know. We're very worried that the next one won't.
Is there I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
You know, we are being recorded.
I
Yeah,
know.
Yeah,
This
right.
This is, you know,
I handle 3 of the max. I'm gonna start handling all 4 starting next month.
okay.
But I mean, do the other supervisors have Max?
Yeah, Supervisor Ramirez, District 5 has 1 in El Rio. And
Okay.
Supervisor Lavere in District 1 has 1 in Ojai, I believe.
I'm
Oh,
surprised the guy at Moore Park doesn't, because he has that Tierra Rojada Valley.
Yeah, they don't have 1.
Yeah.
no, it's up to the supervisor that's, putting the extra work. And I
Yeah.
applaud Linda totally
Yeah.
for it.
I've always said, we are so lucky because, Mark and I were involved for how many years, Mark? Now going on 30. And we couldn't get anybody to listen to us before Linda Parks.
Oh, good.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we're blessed.
Yeah.
So we have the most.
Number 3.
Fire station in Santa Rosa Valley.
I'm going to say that should say review of fire station in Santa Rosa Valley.
Sure.
Okay.
Review?
Review of potential fire station in Santa Rosa Valley.
But this is a goal document.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's not what we have not.
Oh, okay.
We have not
Okay.
reached that position yet.
Okay.
Arson watch. I like that.
Did you want to put potential in there? Rosemary? Not in there yet.
Did you want me to
Review potential fire station in Santa Rosa Valley. I'm good with that.
attend?
Okay. Yes, because they own the land. I keep saying that. They already own the lot.
Yes, but
No, but they want the triangular parcel over by the underpass bridge.
we can discuss this later, but I doubt, I'm not convinced yet that it will improve our response times, and that's why we're getting into the weeds on that.
Whoa, okay.
Okay.
And it's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think the arson watch is really important though, because we just had a recent, when we had those teenagers in Thousand Oaks start a fire. So I think that's really important.
I think that's great.
And that would be a volunteer thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So can we have a volunteer fire department? I mean,
Honestly, I think that again, this is more social media because people really and truly, they see something, they report it.
but I want to get out there and fight it. I want to be a volunteer fireman.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I might get another yellow dot on Priscilla.
Well, you know what? Honestly, we are very blessed to have a lot of firefighters who live within our community who definitely keep us abreast of the news as well as protecting us.
Yes.
Okay.
We have the neighborhood watch is somewhere up on this thing, right?
Yes.
Yes,
I mean,
It's below.
it's already there.
seems like there's a strong connection between arson watch and neighborhood watch.
Mm,
I would think so.
mhm.
I don't know how we come up with that. Does arson watch become /crime? It's a crime. Does it become neighborhood /arson watch?
Well, truthfully, arson is a crime, so that would go with it.
That's what I-
There we go.
I think depending on, you know,
I mean, it's
how your
presumably going
volunteers, how many volunteers you get, you might want to just come, rather than separate it, just make it one.
that's
So,
what I'm
I mean,
suggesting.
maybe I need to understand, are you guys thinking neighborhood watch, arson watch is going to be a patrol of some sort?
I don't
I mean,
know.
to me,
I think it's just see something, say something. It's like me hiking to the top of that hill and people were lighting fires up there, right?
yes.
So
Yeah,
stuff like that, people being aware,
Yeah.
like watch.
I think that
Well,
goal,
think-
when we set goals, we're not necessarily setting the details of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not what this document is. We could spend all night doing that. And it'll take
Okay.
all year to go through these things, right?
All right. Somebody else speak about dark sky overlay.
So am I keeping arson watch? Are you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
think
let's
so.
keep it there.
Arson watch, to remove arson watch and put it down with neighborhood / arson watch.
Well, I think it's a little different than a neighborhood watch though, because we were talking about some sort of a patrol kind of a thing, and that would be somewhat different
Yeah.
than a neighborhood watch.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Because similar to the patrols, they do have patrols in Orange County.
Yeah. You know, and honestly, under fire safety, I just realized what's missing there, you know, which we were very involved in, was, you know, removing equestrian, you know, horses when there's a danger.
Organizing that or making sure it's organized.
Yeah. I mean, we have, you know, there's a group of us that have been working on this, and every time there is a fire, we help set up the trucks and stuff, and we have the names. But I don't know if you want to add that in there. Equestrian evacuation.
Right. That's good.
Okay, so let's end that with that.
Okay.
Okay, back to dark sky overlay, and I'm guessing it's Mark who will speak about this.
No, not actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna invite Ms. Van Vibber to the next MAC meeting to talk, so that's one thing.
Okay.
We'll get some information.
Should we
Alright.
put the word potential in there? Because I don't want people to read this and think we're going for it, because we're just trying to get educated about it first, right?
Right. That I 100% support what you just said.
I agree with you.
On
Especially,
potential
Right.
for ordinance. Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
good.
that sounds good.
good.
Weed abatement. Let's talk about palm trees here. Let's add palm
Sure.
trees. Thing.
Excellent. Excellent.
Palm tree frond removal?
Well,
It's actually dead palm fronds is how it's
Dead
phrased.
palm fronds?
It'd be a good name
Yeah.
for a band.
would be.
Would that be a punk band?
Dead palm frond.
Yeah.
Dead
Good.
pond frogs.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Dead palm frond. I almost think, what about the dead palm tree removal? I mean, not just the fronds.
Well,
Or the
it's
fronds are-
covered. It's covered with the dead fronds. So yeah, I have to remove them. Yeah, you're right. It's a big stick. Then it's a candle, like.
Right.
Actually, it was interesting. What he said was, even if you remove the fronds, that little pocket that's left, catches embers. I didn't know that, and then the whole thing
Yeah.
goes up and burns.
I think that we need to really add. Perfect.
I
Thank
agree.
you.
First of all, it's not just palm trees. I mean, there are lots of areas in the valley where because of climate change, a lot of trees.
And the beetle.
Yeah, and whatever it is, and that too. But if you go down like the Arroyo Santa Rosa, there is tons of dead trees in the part that's, I'm going to say, north and east of the.
Okay, so that would be remove fuel. What is it called? The fuel when they do the control.
Does that go
burn.
back up to fire safety, you guys?
Well, it's part of weed abatement. No, it's not weed abatement. You're right. No, these dead palms, they can get nailed through weed abatement. That's what this is all about, Mark. So maybe,
Yeah.
fire safety would be reduce fuel load in the valley or something like that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. You know, there's a new form that's required called the fire hardening form, where, you know, in addition to,
Dead
you know,
trees, palm trees, etc. Can you put in there, Vanessa, so that we know what we're talking about?
Uh,
Brush, trees, brush and trees.
yeah, brush and trees.
Brush and trees. Palm trees are part of that, right?
Yeah, get rid of that comma after brush.
Picky.
Well, no, but on top of the brush and trees, there's this new form that, you know, people are going to have to give to fire insurance and everything else when they sell a house, which has to say whether or not you have any foliage that's underneath your eaves within 5 feet of your house, as well as exposed beams, you know, on the eaves. When you don't have a stucco covered one, most people have, you know, wood beams. You know, there's all these new things that are coming through that are, you know, brought in part by the fires, but where people are going to have defensible space. And I think people need to start being prepared for that.
Sounds like.
I mean, I almost want to say defensible space below fire safety.
Well, we could say education of residents
Defensible space.
regarding defensible space.
I like that.
Well, doesn't the fire department already do that? They send out the notices, say you need to have 100 feet of clearance.
right.
Well, this is something that's new, that's actually more than that.
Yeah, what she's talking about, Michael, is
Let me
beyond what they're
send
telling you to do.
over.
What
Let me
is
send over to
definition
Denise.
of dispensable space? Was there something else that you wanted to add?
Or maybe because I can see Michael's confusion is that is what the fire department's saying, but education of
Residential defensible space.
new insurance, you know, requirements for dispensable space or something like that.
What's that got? I don't think the insurance has got to.
No, they haven't.
What's
What
the-
I'd like to do is send the form that actually says what it's going to be required. There's actually a date. It's like an ordinance thing.
Who's requiring it?
That I need to read the form. I'm looking, hold on, I'm looking it up right now.
Is it California real estate law? or
No,
something?
it's something that has to be given when you sell a house, but it's an ordinance that has to do with the state of California. So
must
it's
be
a new form.
It must
So
be
let me
under real estate.
I like what Vanessa's got down now.
Okay. All right.
Okay, all right. Onward to night sky. Did we ever finish that? Oh, yeah, we did. We did. Okay.
We're losing number 2 under weed abatement, I believe.
Dead palm frond tree removal.
That went up into the other fire department already.
No, but Mark, that's where it's within 10 feet of the road. We can't make people take it off their property unless it's under weed abatement. We can.
100 feet of a house. You're absolutely correct. The laws are very weak.
Well, now it's 100 feet of any structure and 10 feet from a road or driveway, which I guess has always been the case, that you have to whack weeds 10 feet from a road, right?
Is that not part of reduced fuel load in Santa
You want
Rosa?
me to take it out? I can take it out.
No, reduced fuel load is in areas that the fire department doesn't say you have to abate. So weed abatement is a separate.
Are those weeds, though? Those aren't weeds.
Yeah, but it's a general requirement on the notice of weed abatement.
For the palm fronds?
Yeah,
Well, then leave it.
yeah. This is a perfect example that I'm educating Mark as we speak.
Learning all about palm fronds. I know I'm okay. I think that the dead palm frond tree removal is about fire, and the weed abatement line was originally because the WPD is using toxic
Right.
weed control in the watershed. That's what I thought the weed abatement thing was about.
Right.
Okay.
That's what it was on the survey.
All right. You know what? You're right, Mark. We'll move it up there.
All right. All right. Great.
Thank you. Thank you. I got it now. I got it.
Yeah. All right.
Crime. Neighborhood watch. Okay.
Great. Rosemary's already working on that. Promote sheriff's non-emergency number. Yes, that sounds good.
Am I losing? Can I hear you guys?
No, you can't. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here working on sending Denise that form so you can see it. So anyway, okay, neighborhood watch, promote sheriff's non-emergency number. I think that's great.
Yep.
Oh,
And also the fact that you can text. I think that was important information too.
you'll hear more about that in the coming days.
Okay.
Well, maybe some of these items we might want to put on the Santa Rosa Valley MAC website. So,
Yeah.
Neighborhood watch, so that we have, and the radio, joining the radio group, where would you do that? Where would you join neighborhood watch? Or how to set up a neighborhood watch? Just some centralized location where people can go to get all this information.
That's fulfilling the goals.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we have a better website to guide them to. And I think that it is important that those different options are there for them to go to those areas. Okay, so we've got the hemp cannabis, which we don't really know how that's going to affect our valley right now, since there are areas that Linda has identified to us that can grow hemp at this point, or marijuana.
Are you talking about the east end? I mean, the west end?
The west end, like the Geary Ranch area.
Where does our boundary end for the Santa Rosa
Is it the power lines?
power lines?
Yeah.
There is
So-
probably nowhere within our actual where we control that you can grow it right now. But we can, I don't think this is a bad goal, which is to continue to monitor areas in the community and nearby.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it affects us even if it's nearby.
Yeah, so add nearby.
There we go.
Perfect.
Especially as it's, down, it's downwind of us on a normal day. The wind is blowing from to us.
Do you remember, Mark, when he got a big load of mushroom?
Yeah,
compost?
everybody was complaining it smelled bad.
Yeah, and then he furrowed it into the ground or whatever. It went away.
Now, we had a whole bunch of things about the Santa Rosa Valley Regional Park that we were reviewing before. Why can't we just put those in here?
Well, we have to be involved with the county's parks proposals for what they want to do there. So they're going to come back to us with that, right?
Yeah, so.
Denise, I just sent you that email. Can you please send that out to to everybody on the MAC so they can see what I
Okay.
was talking about?
Yeah, and I know a goal here is increase usage of the park should be our goal. Promote increased usage of the park.
I do like that as a goal.
I agree with that. And then I would say review new uses for Santa Rosa Park.
Okay, yeah.
Or, review new uses. I think those are, whatever they come back with, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Say that again, Mark?
Review new uses for the park.
For Santa Rosa Park.
Proposed uses, new
Yeah.
proposed uses.
And the other,
There
you
you go.
had a bunch of, a lot of information in the survey from the residents. And the other thing with the Santa Rosa Valley Park is you had a lot of people saying they didn't even know about the park.
Yeah.
So those,
Well,
That's under increased usage.
I don't think any of us have young children here, or maybe actually, Amy, I don't know how old yours are, but I would love for that park to be able to be used for like soccer, or, something that kids can get involved in and families can go to.
I love
Frisbee
the dog
golf.
park.
Frisbee golf. No.
oh, that was one of them. Frisbee.
Or pickle court, pickleball. So many people are into pickleball these days.
I think the dog park is amazing. That would be great.
Dog park, I think, would be great. People love dog parks.
Yeah, until they get bit.
Those are all covered in what we have done right now, I think.
And then I added education because that was one of the things.
I think for the park, we have to kind of decide in advance, what kind of park is it? Is it going to be a rural kind of park, or is it gonna be more like a city park?
But
Because
we need
that's gonna
irrigation for it to
dictate-
be anything else.
Yeah, there's
I think the
irrigation.
cheapest and the most inviting would be a dog park.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think we need to decide those things in this document.
Right.
No,
Okay.
Fair enough.
Actually, the
No.
point-
I
No,
like
no,
your
but I'm just
review new proposed
throwing it out
uses
there.
for park. Perfect.
These are
Okay.
very good general ideas of what we need. What else do we need to discuss about the park at this point? I mean,
I have one more, or a couple things. To what Michael just said, we really should take this, because we are an advisory, we're supposed to be funneling what the residents want and agreeing that that's it, not just the 5 of us. So we should look at that survey answers about the park and decide as a MAC what the majority wants. The second thing I was going to say is, what about the MAC actually having a meeting out there, a live MAC meeting once we can? I mean, right? We could have an open air meeting, and that would drag a few people there, us, for example.
I go there.
So my goal is to have a live MAC meeting at the park. That's what I was thinking.
Want me to put
Yeah.
that in?
really?
But I would think too, even just, I know we did the survey, but even just as individuals, and of course you guys have a big outreach. Rosemary is even talking to just your neighbors. Like, what do you think? What would you want out there? And if we just talk to 10 people, you know, it's not formal, but at least we're getting it out there. So we might want
Yeah,
to do
that's-
that.
That's 50 people if we each talk to 10.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's super easy to do. So
Oh,
That's because you're so extroverted, Amy.
I,
Is there a chat there that we're missing?
no, there is someone, Jerry Cooper.
Hi, everyone. I
Hi,
just
you are?
emailed Denise.
I
My
was,
name is Jerry Cooper, and I've been on the line with you guys this evening. I am calling in from the call-in number and not the Zoom because I do not have a setup with a camera yet. I'm day 4 as the new parks manager for the county. So
well,
I'm here on your topic about Santa Rosa Regional Park. I don't have a lot of information for you at this time. The assistant director asked me to sit in on the call tonight, and just know that the park is in our wheelhouse, and we definitely plan to come back to future MAC meetings with you all to get your ideas and have some discussions further about it.
Awesome.
Did you receive the survey response from Santa Rosa Valley residents that included information about the park?
So this is day 4 for me. I have not personally received that, but I cannot speak to if the assistant director has received that. But I will check with him and see if he has or has not received it, and I can get back to you folks on that.
Jerry, I can send that to you.
Okay, great.
Denise will have
I'll
it. Great. Thank you for joining us tonight. And welcome to your new
Thank you.
position. Is there anything else that you would like to know from us, or that we would, or are there other questions we have for you from the MAC?
I don't have any questions for you folks. Currently, I have been a Ventura County resident my whole life, and worked for Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District for almost 9 years. So I'm very familiar with the Santa Rosa Valley and the Camarillo area. So it'll be a pleasure to work with you guys, and I look forward to it.
Great.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
now I think, isn't that,
That is it.
Can we just go from the top to the bottom of this document one time and just review where we are? Community outreach. CERT, ERN, new website, county contact. Service providers, their transpo. 10 lanes.
Can you scroll down a little so we can see the bottom?
United States. Street sign on Santa Rosa Road.
Oh, crap.
What?
I got to turn off my irrigation water. It's been running. I thought this meeting would be over by now. So
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. I'm happy with everything I'm looking at. Anybody else have any opinions?
No, I just want to, can you just go back to the road stuff, the traffic? Because honestly, that I just want to make sure that that is the most significant issue for people in Santa Rosa Valley, honestly, of all of them. I just want to make sure we have covered everything.
Well, the only thing I think that's missing here is the safety for Santa Rosa School. There was some input, remember, about the morning and the length of the turn lane.
But I think, isn't some of that going to be addressed with the safe routes to school?
Possibly, but I'm just thinking of what constituents have talked to us about. That's the only thing that I see that's missing.
And I would say reviewing the safe routes to school proposal.
Okay. All right, let's add that then.
Right.
Okay.
What is? the
Santa Rosa
safe route
Technology
to
Magnet.
school?
Santa Rosa Magnet, Santa Rosa.
That was a technology magnet.
My son goes there. You would think I know this.
And what is the safe routes to school program? What is that?
It was a series of surveys and reviews that was done, gosh, I think in collaboration with the county and Caltrans and the schools to see what the safest, what safety measures can be implemented. And so I'll get that for you guys. In fact, I have to get it for another MAC, so I'll do it all at once.
Thank you so much. I know we give you so much work.
It's okay.
I hate to keep harping on this, guys, but isn't there like an overall thing in transportation traffic issues that should be number one that says improve safety on Santa Rosa Road, and then everything else becomes 2 through 8?
Okay, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a good overall goal.
Yes.
Would that include the multi-use trail that runs the length of the valley along the roadside?
That'll be happening not in my lifetime, I think.
Okay.
But no, I think it's an important, I mean, there may be sections of it that could happen. I think that's an important statement of what we care about in Santa Rosa Valley.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So I think at this point, we have done as much as we could do this evening on this document.
I agree. Are we now
Okay.
adopting this for the year or something?
If you want to do a motion and
We sure do.
on a
Okay, who would like to make the motion to adopt this as our goals for our Santa Rosa Valley MAC this year? Or-
All right,
Okay, so Mark, you're gonna make that. Who's gonna second it, please?
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay, I'll do a quick roll call. Michael Adams,
Aye.
Rosemary Allison,
Yes, aye.
Kevin Cannon,
Aye.
Mark Burley,
All right.
Amy Elliott.
Aye.
Great. I will stop sharing this and then I'll send you out the final document.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now let's go on to council comments on issues not on the agenda.
I have a quick one. It's just a question. So the Arroyo on the west side of Camelot, you know how they go in there and they'll clear that out from the concrete where the water runoff goes? Are you guys familiar with that?
hang on, I'm just trying to organize myself. The west side of Camelot.
So at the very end, when
I
you're
know what you're
walking,
talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I've got it.
so what they do every year is they take a machine and they clear out all the messy stuff, right? To have the water flow go.
Yes.
But what happens is, and I just want your opinion on who to go to. I'm going to go down there and start cleaning it. But what happens is where the concrete meets the land, it kind of stops. And so what happens is you get this stagnant, really big pond of water, which is stopped on the other side going west, just full of debris. So just gets full of just nasty, dirty stuff, balls, trash.
Mosquitoes?
Probably, but there's also a duck population there, right? And there's birds, all kinds of nesting things. But my question was, I want to go down and start kind of clearing some of it out. Who do I go to? Because I feel like the way that they clear this out, they're not taking into mind on the side that has all the brush. It's going to make just a stagnant pond. Is that?
The answer is watershed protection district.
Okay. All right. Let's reach out to them because it's a bit nasty.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah, and they have nice no trespassing signs for that area too, Amy.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
they have an online where you can register a concern or a complaint online, and they get back pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and I would throw out Public Works has the same kind of online reporting. So when I see a sign that's wacky or something, I just put an entry into the online system and.
Right. Well, it's under Public Works. So yeah.
Yeah, Public Works. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Public Works website. So.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Is watershed protection under Public Works?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Watershed protection, transportation, water and sanitation. So, Joe Pope was on there, but you guys don't really know Joe Pope because you guys have Kim Rosa.
He was online earlier.
He was. He's a resident of Santa Rosa Valley, but he's also the director of the water and sanitation. So he was probably on to see Tony. Yeah.
That's a great system, though. I've used it.
Okay. All right, so.
I don't have anything. Nor.
Anybody else?
I have one thing. This seems to come up almost annually now. There are two Senate bills, Senate Bill 9 and Senate Bill 10, which I would be interested to know if this could have a potential impact on the zoning in Santa Rosa Valley. So Senate Bill 9 allows somebody to split a property in two, and also to put two dwelling units on each one of those split properties, meaning that it could be a potential of 4 dwelling units on one that was once one piece of property. It basically invalidates single family zoning. The other bill is Senate Bill 10, allows apartment buildings to be put into places where they weren't originally permitted. And I saw one article that said that that those apartment buildings could even go onto land that had been previously designated as open space per a ballot proposition that was passed by the voters. So both of these seem concerning, and I would like to, get some feel, how these two bills, if they did pass, could affect Santa Rosa Valley.
First of all, I don't see the apartment buildings ever coming to fruition in our area due to the fact that we have septic tanks. They're not going to allow that unless we had a sewer system, which we don't have.
Well, the interesting thing about these bills is they negate any of the environmental regulations. That you just basically bypass the environmental regulations. They're not in force.
I don't think you can build a septic tank large enough. I mean, honestly, I don't think you can.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
But let's go back to the other issue, which honestly, I am very upset that on our lots that I feel that we should be able to have guest houses on, that we are told we can't have a guest house on. And so I'm on that side of that coin. But there was a large meeting with representatives from the county and the flood control area and the water quality district that explained to us that even though that is a state law, that they preempt that because they are saying that our water quality would be impaired if they allowed guest houses on our lots. It's something called a Tierra, Mark, do you remember what it was? Tierra Rajada something?
Yeah, I do. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember that. What it.
Yeah, I mean, I got up, showed them the map, told them it was ridiculous, didn't do any good.
All right.
Rosemary, look what's going on in my lot next door.
Is there a guest house?
Yeah, he's building a guest house and
See, now that's what's surprising me because I was also told on Pradera a guest house was approved too. And I don't understand that. I was also told, because after we were given this whole meeting where they said they weren't going to approve them, I have been hearing about people who are getting approvals for ADU units. So I don't know.
Michael, I'm going to suggest to you that the person, you're saying these are California Senate bills?
Yes.
I'm going to suggest to you that the person to talk to is Henry Stern, who is our senator, and find out from him. A lot of bills get proposed and a lot of bills fall by the wayside. And they fall by the wayside just because they are doing things that are so outrageous. I mean, I hear what somebody is proposing these bills. I'm going to presume because they're looking to create more housing in California to solve a homelessness problem. But a lot of times those things get put forward and then they die. So the person to talk to is our state senator representative, and or possibly, I don't know if it's going to go into the assembly, our state assembly person who's Jackie Irwin. So they may be able to give you, if you call their offices, a better idea of where those bills stand and whether they will have ever come to fruition.
But more importantly, I think than those two arenas to go to, you need to go to the Ventura County Planning Department, take them an APN number and tell them what you're proposing to do and find out what you can do. Because they will tell you what issues will apply to that specific lot.
I don't think that's Michael's issue though. That's.
Yeah, no, I was looking at it as a general issue of bills that might change the character of Santa Rosa Valley from what we have now.
What could happen in the future? For the straight dope on it, go to Steve Bennett. He's fighting for that, for us to maintain our SOAR.
He's now in the assembly too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's
But not our representative.
Not our rep, but he's, you can guarantee he's on top of that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, back to, no, there was something I totally forgot. I wish I'd written this down. I knew there was something I wanted to bring up here. It's beyond me. All right. 66.
You went to Cancun for a minute there.
Yes, I did. Okay. Written communications.
Oh, yeah, because there's no public comments that I know of. I do not have any.
Okay, future agenda items.
So we'd like to have a speaker on the dark skies ordinance next time.
Sure.
Is that the person from Buena Vista in Malibu?
I
Yes.
believe so, yeah.
Okay. He's also on the board of SOAR.
Oh, okay.
I can check in with this Jerry Cooper who we met tonight and see if she wants.
Yep, I'd like to get, we're still waiting to get the information about the park.
Yeah, so we could do.
Let's put the Bridlewood debris basin on just so we're keeping it going. Please.
Sure.
I would like to have somebody talk to someone at the county, bringing up the two bills that we're talking about and whether or not anything has changed regarding ADUs in Santa Rosa Valley.
Well, yeah,
The planning department.
I don't know that we'll have someone speak here. I'll see. But it's just something, you know, that Linda can provide in her comments too, but I'll get information for you.
Thank you.
Something we're doing for all the MACs is we're doing MAC protocols. We started it in Oak Park, and we're going to do it in Somas, or we're doing Coscaneo next week. Is we're doing MAC protocols. We're just kind of formalizing how MACs interact with, you know, county staff. We haven't had any real issues with your MAC. I guess there were some issues with another MAC. It wasn't mine. So now we're just kind of, so I'll send out a draft version. You can look at them, but it's kind of just formalizing for all the MACs. I guess one of the issues was how they represented themselves versus being a you know, personal opinion out in public versus being kind of saying they're from the MAC. Like I said, I haven't had any issues with this MAC, but again, it's something that we were thinking of doing for each of the MACs. Just since we did it for one, might as well do it for others.
I think we've all been educated that we can't ever go out and say that we're representing the views or opinions of the MAC. We can only do it by saying that they are personal opinions.
Right. So we like I said, like I haven't had this, but just kind of going rogue. So.
But to clarify, if we in the meeting designate one of us to go represent the MAC, like,
yes.
we can do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have to do it at the meeting.
Yeah, and just make sure that one isn't, you know, that you're all on board with what's being put out in public. But yeah.
Do we have to do ethics training or harassment training?
You have to, I think, yes.
I mean, I'm on the two boards. I don't know who's hitting me with that, but I get an email from the county saying, you're up. And I'm like, is it the RCD or is it the Santa Rosa Valley MAC? So I was just curious if the MAC.
Yeah, because you're elected. I know.
I took it before I came on.
It's a state every 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, so
can you check about when we're due for our to make sure we're up to date?
An email.
Yeah, I will check on that for you.
I just did it.
Me too. Man, was that painful.
Boring.
I have to do mine and I keep putting it up.
What's really bad about the free 2-hour thing is like, hey, I can go through these slides and then I get to the end. I'm like, you have another, 45 minutes. You have to do it for 2 hours. I'm like, no.
I got through it in 16 minutes.
Was it you, Rosemary, that did it? And then they said, nope, you still owe like 3 minutes or something.
I know, that was me.
Denied it.
You actually, well, I'm not going to say anymore.
You've got to get to the certificate. You got to get that certificate, which means
on this Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
2 hours.
I know this has been a long meeting. I didn't anticipate this being so long.
This is one long meeting. I'm here to rescue Rosemary.
I'm at my friend's house and I told her, oh, it'll be done by 8 o'clock.
We're all waiting for her.
Who said?
You don't have all the wine. Okay.
See you that. I'm glad somebody's taking care of us. Yeah.
I'll be downstairs in a minute.
You just have
Did I hear a proposal to adjourn the meeting?
Adjourn the meeting, Rose.
Let's adjourn the meeting.
But
9 o'clock exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
But this thing about Zoom meetings being more efficient and quick, it's not happening with us. What's going on?
I know. Well, you know what? It's so many months in between. We have a lot to catch up